let the process to take precedence and allow the process to take course without undue influence from both sides of the House. Lord, in conclusion, I ask you to forgive us for all our shortcomings as we join hands to pray the prayer that the Lord Jesus Christ himself taught us. Our Father,
who art in heaven,
Honourable members, in accordance with Section 175 of the Organic Law on national and local level government elections, I lay on the table the return of writs which His Excellency the Governor-General issued on 24th April 2025 for a by-election of a member to be served for the Kabum Open Electorate, following the declaration of the National Court, which sat as a court of disputed written dated 26 May 2023, and that by the endorsement on the writ, it was certified that Mr. Patrick Bassa was duly elected as a member for Kabum Open Electorate. I lay the writ. Honourable members, I have been commissioned by His Excellency, the Governor-General Grand Chief, Logohuk Knight Grand Cross of the Most Distinguished Order of Saints Michael and Saint George, authorizing me to administer from time to time the declaration of loyalty and declaration of office to those members who have not already made their declaration since their election to the National Parliament. The commission is dated Friday, 15th day of July 2022. I admit. You will say your declaration after me. Declaration of loyalty, honourable member. Where there is a space, you will announce your own name, and the rest you repeat after me. I,
Patrick Bassa,
realizing fully the responsibility to which I am committing myself, and the consequence of not living up to this declaration and those responsibilities.
in the particles of not living up to this declaration and those responsibilities.
Freely and willingly declare my loyalty to the independent state of Papua New Guinea.
Freely and willingly declare my loyalty to the independent state of Papua New Guinea.
And its people and to the Constitution of Papua New Guinea.
And its people and to the Constitution of Papua New Guinea.
Adopted by the Constituent Assembly on 15 August 1975.
Adopted by the Constituent Assembly on 15 August 1975.
Assaulted from time to time in accordance with the provision and promise that I will
Assaulted from time to time in accordance with its provisions and promise that I will
uphold the Constitution and the law of Papua New Guinea.
I will uphold the Constitution and the laws of Papua New Guinea.
Declaration of office, honorable member. Where there is a space, you will announce your own name, and the rest you repeat after me. I,
Patrick Russell,
do promise and declare that I will well and truly serve
do promise and declare that I will well and fully serve
the independent state of Papua New Guinea
the independent state of Papua New Guinea
and its people and the office of the Member of Parliament.
and its people in the office of Member of Parliament.
Honorable member, congratulations. You may now take your seat. Honorable members, I inform the Parliament of the following. Distinguished visitors who are former members of Parliament, namely Sir John Caputin, Sir Yano Bero, Sir Pato Kakaraya, Mr. Warren Dutton, and Mr. Parua Kuri, and are seated in the speaker gallery. And 24 finalists of the National Grade 11 essay and pottery competition representing the 4 regions of the country, and grade 7 and 8 students and their teachers of Koyari Park Adventist Primary School, who are seated in the public gallery. On behalf of the Parliament, I extend these distinguished visitors and students a very warm welcome to Parliament. Like any petitions? Notices? Honorable members, question time. The Honorable Member for Madang.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for affording the people of Madang to put their question to the government minister without notice. Mr. Speaker, my question is directed to the Minister for Treasury, Honorable Ian Ling-Starkey. My question is in my capacity as the Shadow Minister for Treasury, Finance and National Planning, as well as a member for Madang and also a chairman of the Madang DDA. Mr. Speaker, my question relates to the application of GST to government institutions, entities including national parliament, departments, provincial, local level government, statutory entities, including provincial governments and DDAs. Mr. Speaker, every year through the Department of Treasury, the national government appropriates 2 billion kina in service improvement grants and infrastructure grants to each province and district. Mr. Speaker, each district is supposed to receive up to 10 million DSIP and 5 million infrastructure grants, and if you're lucky and you're in government, 5 million kina for kina. Each province receives 10 million in PSIP and 10 million in infrastructure programs. This makes up the total of 2 billion kina. When each province or district receives those grants, they then make decisions on how those grants are to be expended on projects, essential services in the sectors of education, health, law and order, infrastructure, and economic. Where contractors or suppliers are awarded contracts to provide the services to the districts or provinces, and after being awarded the contract, they will invoice the district and provinces, and they will be paid for their services, and they will charge a component of GST. And upon payment of those GST or the invoices or processing the claims for their invoices, the district treasury and provincial treasury will remit the payments to the suppliers and hold back the GST component, which is then collected by IRC. Now, GST was introduced in July of 1999. It was a part of a broader tax reform aimed at modernizing PNG's tax system, improving revenue collection, and aligning with international VAT and GST systems. It applies to most goods and services as well as imports and some exceptions who are zero rated or exempt to GST. So, Mr. Speaker, other countries also apply GST, and I took the time to look into their system of how they apply GST and whether government entities are required to pay GST. And for Australia, there are certain services provided to government entities, or which they classify as government departments, local level councils, government-owned entities and statutories that don't pay GST. And they relate to services provided in the areas of education and health. And also applies to New Zealand government in applying their GST or VAT tax. Now, their system requires some of the suppliers to charge GST to their government institutions and entities, and it also provides the opportunity for those government entities or institutions to claim back refunds.
Order. Honorable member, you will make your question.
Okay, I'll get to my question.
You don't have all the time of the question now.
Thank you. It's, I'm providing context, and it's an issue that affects everyone in this parliament.
Be patient.
So, my question issue is, every year the government pays 2 billion and the government or IRC collects 200 million back. So you are taxing tax money. So if a district receives 20 million, 2 million is sent back to IRC, the money that is supposed to be spent on essential services to the people, not taxing the tax money. Now, other countries provide tax refund where they pay GST. We don't get a tax refund. Provincial governments cannot claim refunds. DDAs cannot claim refunds. So my question to the Treasury is, can you explain the logic in this policy of taxing tax money? If you agree it is illogical, would you agree for my office to work with your office to bring a proposed amendment to the IRC Tax Act to introduce amendments that provides 0 rating or tax exemptions to all government institutions, including this national parliament, including provincial governments, and including authorities and state-owned entities. So we can apply the maximum benefit of tax money back to the taxpayer and not back to the tax collector. Thank you.
The Honourable Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the member for Madang and the newly appointed Shadow Treasurer for his long explanation on the background, which I think is good. Members of Parliament can update themselves on these series of questions. My office certainly looks forward to working with the Shadow Treasurer on any matters,
Yes.
in addition to GST, to ensure we get a more effective budget. But there's probably no need to on this, for this particular issue, Mr. Speaker, because administratively we should be able to resolve this particular problem. Most of us agree with a lot of the sentiments you shared, and there is a decision by the government to exempt GST from DDAs and eventually provincial governments. And just for the record, GST collections projected for this year is 4,186 million. Mr. Speaker, if I can just give a quick background as well. Section 65A is part of the Goods and Services Act of 2003. This act is the basis for goods and services tax, or GST. Most of our people in urban areas know that it adds 10% to the cost of groceries, and I'm pretty pleased that we are now exempting 13 key household items from this GST. Section 65A has been a part of our GST system since at least 2007. I note the reference to 1999 by the Shadow Treasurer. And it's important to note, Mr. Speaker, that the Commissioner General of the IRC has the discretion to determine special circumstances and can issue notices to taxpayers and also withdraw those notices. These notices require the government entity or business to collect the GST of 10% and pay it directly to the IRC. This is a different process of the suppliers charging the GST to the DDAs and then paying the 10% tax to the IRC. And just finally, by way of background, back in 2021, after we came into office, as part of a process of clamping down on GST tax avoidance, the IRC started issuing more and more of these Section 65A notices in 3 phases. The first one was to deal with government departments, second one provincial governments and provincial health authorities, and the third one's to DDAs. The final phase was to private firms. To answer his specific questions, in November of last year, NEC did resolve to exempt district development authorities from Section 65A. The IRC was instructed through that decision to implement the exemption administratively rather than through legislative changes. But the IRC, as we all know, is provided with considerable independence in the administration of tax laws, and that remains a decision for him. Then the last communication on this matter, the Commissioner General indicated in earlier this year, I think around about April, in a written brief both to myself, copying the Prime Minister, his concerns about the NEC decision. He said that Section 65A notices to DDAs has been vital in addressing non-compliance among government contractors, and that these contractors, often major beneficiaries of public funds, have historically been the least compliant in remitting or fulfilling their tax obligations. He also advised us that the repeal of Section 65A for DDAs would cost, there would be a cost to the budget of at least 100 million kina. He was also concerned that doing this, it could incentivize, encourage non-compliance among contractors not to pay their component. Has it been implemented? No, it hasn't been. The IRC currently is recommending against the instruction from NEC and is suggesting a legislative change for Parliament to exempt the DDAs. When it comes to that, if it comes to that, if negotiations with him are not successful, then the government then will look to make that change. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We have a point of order. Honourable Member Faba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am of the strong opinion that IRC is wrong in terms of the compliance for the contractors, because when the checks are given after the tax deduction, when they go to pay the services, they are also paying the 10% GST. So IRC is completely wrong, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member Faba, I will not entertain your point of order. It's like you're debating the question that has been raised, so I would not allow for that point of order. The Honourable Member, Governor for Gulf.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, asking Blomi nogat notice igolo Mr. Diwa na member Langoram. Now, asking Blomi also, from Gulf Province migat sampla forced concessions is stop. Turama TRP, Turama extension, East Kikori TRP, Valala TRP, now Valala extensions. So, asking Blomino Minister also, these are concessions, plenty and timeline finish. Now, management and marketing agreements all elapse. So, when I'm time, authority blow you, now ministry blow you, and we all write him, NUPLA agreements one time Papa ground. Secondly, Mr. Deputy Speaker, law talk and provincial forestry committees, PFMCs, all by working negotiations, one time Papa ground, one time developers. So ask him Blomiel Sam, why are you not involving provincial governments on this land negotiations, where all can come and put him input blow, because all negotiations up to date in the Gulf province have been done with your department or with your authority and with the landowner's consent, without visibility and clearance at the provincial level. And also all developments of mining too, we got problems of Laki Kamu now. you go one kind. So, me ask me, Minister, one time you send him law where you talk provincial governments must involve one time Ministry below you, look out him all forestry developments for Gulf Province. Number 3, ask him also. Plenty long this agreements. Developers broken agreement. Plenty conditions for agreement. Developers broken. For example, on Valhalla TRP, developer abusing or misusing 10,000 hectares. On Valhalla TRP in the west, now he logging, walking illegal logging law up. For public ground, he kiss him this like developer go to court. Court he talk, yes, I'm illegal, and must buy him. So one time, you have him on public ground, now ensure him this like outstanding royalties and outstanding compensation payments become the people long Valhalla. This line no resolved yet. Now secondly, long East Kikori, you got 19 million. Is stop yet. Law royalties where department below you or authority is buying wrong person, the wrong company, this law royalties, you know, go to Papa ground through. So one time by you back him, this law 19 million. You go long Papa ground through. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister, Forest.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Thank you. And thank you, good plus Kim Blong, Governor Blong, Nipla Long, Gulf. Just like question plan, I think we believe plenty of Governor Long, our provinces from this country, all to get one kind of last scheme, law development long forestry inside law one province flipla. In fact, all open members to long all districts flipla. Good last scheme straight member and Governor Blong, Gulf ask him come. We like talk over this house na good governor. You got good 4 questions blue you stop. One plan long TRP, extension long TRP, I think long site long TRP, and in it long forestry now, long new plan act, maybe stop long we want them all TRP, na look good you can set long site long TRP, long incorporating all you need long FMAs. Okay, I'm lo this site long number 1 question blue, but number 2, number 3, and number 4 question blue very important. That minanap lo making one plan making question lo now, but me by kissing question blue in writing. Now when we go back to department, make small answers in full so that we can give him long all people from Gulf. Now at least this house, now all governors plan members of parliament, kiss him good 1M, all outstanding. I think all the districts and the provinces too, we got just stuff. And this has been an ongoing long process from me coming up long time me as a minister. So by me like ask him good governor and this question and he can give me in return. Law writing so that when we can go back to the department and answer him long in due time when we can write come back and do it. Thank you.
We have a supplementary. Honourable member for Alakau.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. My supplementary is also in relation to the log export development levy. Can the minister also confirm that under the Non-Tax Revenue Act, these export levies are also swept under his department?
Honourable member, it seems that the question you raised is not the supplementary to the question raised by Governor. It's a new question. I will allow you to make that question another time when I give you a chance to The Honorable Member for Kainantu.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker, lo Luxavelo, people of Kainantu. All Papa Ground lo Kainantu mine. Me like directing this question. Ego long Minister long mining. Some all issues we've been putting along. Paper na mi serving minister lo past time minister na awambla talk sabe or response come. Very important and pertinent issues me raising on behalf long people of Kainantu now Papa Ground. So now we like asking each other's house because Kainantu mine one mine where Papa Ground or losing tintin together. Since mining started in 2003 coming up now, more than 20 years. No something come up or Papa Ground or people of Kainantu. We looking this year, only paying 161 million PDC go on government. Long takis yeah. So Kainantu mine is already, the people of Kainantu already contributing to the revenue now. Power flow this country yeah. No look service stop, Mr. Speaker. Or some important issues outstanding medicine Logan by putting me minister. Yeah? Number one something. MOA, Memorandum of Agreement. This agreement is a start Namelo, government, state, one time of Papa Ground, a developer. Now it developer is a mine, came into mine, limited. Now government, MOA, is stop. One time, people, was a mine but continue to operate. Me like you, minister, me confirm this law. This law, me true and no that. Because I don't need law, MOA tas all get benefits over prescribing, na giving me go on Papa Ground. And close to now, 6 or 8 years here, now came into mine and we operate one of the most profitable, progressive mine now. Plan the discoveries, na nuclear tenements, only giving me go discovering big gold. Now development them come up and by close to a program mine. Yet people on the ground, looks at something. So you got MOE stop or no got. Now suppose you got why na Papa Ground no kissing benefit. Suppose no got why. Me ask him minister long, try him put him one MOE discussing na sari ni come first quarter of this Christmas. Because we looking to mind by operating nuclear facilities, by enlarging operation slogan, at the moment. The supply of people coming to want more people who can plus a benefit slogan, Mr. Speaker. So me like say you got when in time by MOA come up. Me understand you got one rust MOA draft, every start I think 2021 or something or same. Every stop lo corridors lo where any karapin dasi stop. Na meeting or same time lo you go one time this draft MOA over finish. Usefulness lo you got now. Now with mine emi lusim this stage na emi go sell big per something now. So suppose minister got tintin lo by nuclear MOA. But you can go inside. Now suppose there's something you can come up, hurry up. Before lo to mine. And we operating nuclear facility blog. And number one question, series of questions concerning MOA. Number two, all Papa Ground since mining operate, kissing one royalty yet. Only staff na plan di Papa Ground go, only fight nothing go. Now money and staff lo some lo system na lo developer one time MRA. Now one excuse he come up or same. Papa Ground he got dispute. When time commission sindana harem so there's benefits must start past it. So question again. Suppose there's an issue. When time government tintin lo put in there's a time commission gonna buy harem hurry up na working determination usah Papa Ground so that there's money for all the stuff. How much millionaire? Or you can pay him hurry up na Papa Ground you can kiss him. Let me see what make it work well. The benefit one must kiss him. Number two question. Suppose there's money start big money. Any stop where? Money no can down nothing. So me ask him, suppose by MRA, the minister only can make him discuss one time or Papa Ground na company lo putin de so money go sambla hapwe em ke kai sambla kai interest staff woki sambla win money so the by the time lo papa ground kisim all kisim money one time sambla interest lo genanta mi asking this blow side blow outstanding of benefits long royalty na winning time by rental commission by Sinlaon na resolving the size people of papa ground. Number 3, important question now, tenant to mine, any operator same legal mine. Once per time, na MRA, have been issuing mining lease. MRA legal mine. The question now, we are asking Minister whether size of the mine is measured by the output, production, how much go, or the operation itself. Because we look at underground mining, time when we go now, we are instead gold, we are producing gold. Operation may be small, but output again, production again, and we know what privilege is information, but government said. Talking me play legally man or big mine. Now that mining like expenditure, now black question for me. Whether mining department, he got plane, or shooting, this license, mining lease, he go SML, special mining lease, so that some or benefits come underneath SML, where people work on mission out now, people can work on mission out, people can kiss him too. Mr. Speaker, so many work on paying, takes go gamani go to so papa ground here. You better look at something too. Kind of too many come up say one free mine. In terms of Papua New Guinea world here. Let me say calling him free mine. But here you go send. The same can come up. Or same we asking Minister Long. There's a series of questions in the discussion say follow. When you got plans, we got all the issues, we can talk in this house. Now people of Papua New Guinea, more importantly, people of Kainan Tuna or Papa Ground, Billy Moya, na Unan Tuna, Poma Silas Lab. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now also, Makam, you know, Tintin.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Minister for Mining.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Before me respond to question, member kind to be like on behalf of district me, people me Finchafen me like congratulating member of Kabum. Come back to flow. Me pla see them call long time so we congratulate them. Look forward to work on them as member and capacity where Molim law. Moving work inside long Kabum, as well as party where Mipla Senate, Mipla giving Mipla. Congratulations, Konogem. Deputy Speaker, popular question where member raising, taking a member raising a popular question in regard to Canada mining. First question on MOE benefits, na suppose even signed finish. Deputy Speaker, we can confirm was MOE no been signed for the last 5 or 6 years due to ongoing disputes between the landowner factions inside the Billy Moa area. We all give him social license na talk right lo mining must come up lo place. So time dispute they come up every name go law special land title commission long streams levy. Na time maybe come yet mining been continue. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to thank the people of Billy Moa long allowing mine lo continue while also team dispute lo court na finding way lo help him. Sometimes all money court also stopping mine. But in this case, through you and to the member, I'll thank the people of Kainantu and Makam as well. We all start in Salores Labanis project. Long allowing mining lo continue while all go lo court. At the same time, we'll go lo different avenues lo resolving dispute lo over which landowner groups truth must have been some chairman or staff portion or beneficiary in Salores project. So I confirm was MOU no been signed because he got dispute stuff. Now MOU containing package below landowners or Papa Ground where all but participate royalty now mining company Basiranitsin now go forward. So time will been cross law MOU where containing royalty in Alislatu all our benefit no been come up because all dispute law royalty that's all. Now said basta Papa Ground true inside law mine. So Mr. Deputy Speaker, I confirm that MOU will be agreed. Now willing to sign and disputes have been still stopped long office law, state solicitor. Last week, time PNG Corp in Austin, This la bungi come up la IPEC, lo bungi mogata investor lo petroleum. Na mining one time, I had the opportunity to meet him or landowners or come lab. And we had a 1-hour session, of which the landowners agreed that you must go forward on the MOE because even though mining will spend go SML, question for blame, MOA must start before you may expand go and settle on SML. So a company confirmed lo MOSM, all hard will expand, go and settle SML because issue lo landowner and start here. Who gets to sign and who gets to take the equity benefit, royalty in settle long if you may expand go long SML. So last week, Tami Blasinon, through you, Deputy Speaker, we have confirmed that me ring him state solicitor. Now, office the state solicitor clear him MOE finis. So this Friday, a member, myself, and 2 delegations are visiting the Coming to mind. We will let know the people that we have resolved the issue in the MOE and we will sign. Member 2, by witness, Governor Blong, Eastern Islands, Deputy Speaker, you had 2, you stop inside. One time, some faction of moral leadership. So, MOA has been cleared for signing that. I will confirm, and that has been done last week through that. So that's one. So that now, but looking benefits long, people look to Makam to start look God Manmiri. Number 2, landowners royalty. I confirm that royalty money is still sitting there. I'm still sitting down long trust account because court or landowner go court. So money blow. I'm still sitting down. No government touching Islam money. That funding is that royalty fund is still there. Now to the house, the email country will appreciate what these landowners, and I will put on notice and on record that Billimore Landowner Association royalty money blow or making one agreement or some 10% blow this royalty money but church. And that is something I haven't seen in resource projects where Papa Ground to talk lokageta sol. Online lo kanan to I'm giving 10% lo God. You mean to give me Christian country I'm online lo billy mo I'm show him straight, Mr. Deputy Speaker. 10% of all the royalty money now belongs to a church that all Philimos all affiliate one them. Now to God bless him all, we give him go back to God so. That money is there including the 10% that's rightfully all the Gamas Kolong church. In that meeting as well, Lenona Togosem, while we block court, all the factions have come to my office and said, wrote to my office and said, while we block court, money blow me blow ground, money blow God, you give him free. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, through you and the member, there's like 10% of royalty that is added. We'll start with the Saling Bolas La Mission, we'll nominate him the Dogamasco Straight, Lacount Law Church. That's in respect to the 10% of the royalty, which they are giving as tied to a church. Royalty funds in terms of investment, me are concerned member. Mibla no got power, Mibla MRA, na mining no got power, or reinvesting money. Mibla regulator, na Mibla looking industry. So this la money and start long. As soon as MOE sign, no agree, and Mibla all can invest. Mibla no got power, invest in Islam money blow. Mibla was man so look no money na. Mibla send up so stop, was some money. Number 4. Ask him the MRA expansion. Yes, current to mine is going to be one of our best mines in this country, and they've asked to do an expansion program, which we'll see possibly they might become an SML. But for that to happen, we need to resolve the issue of the landowners, MOA, and I look forward to working with the member, Governor of Eastern Islands, Chair yourself, plus the other stakeholders who are involved so that you can expand him, and they want to expand. They have spent about 1.2 billion kina already as part of the expansion program. Now all I go more, lokisimos and SML so. Leader, time you don't free mind, having a free mind, benefit law landowners and stop. Our district becoming said and stop, time you go SML. Our provincial government becoming said equity and stop. But what is like 1 or 2 plus something, so let me clear him now. Then coming to mind can become a very good mind for the country and people as well. I think in terms of, yes, thank you, our Commerce Minister. IDG law, coming to mind as same as IDG law program and ARPLA program. Government looks up and putting million money, so IDG time and come, no provincial governments, no governors, members, okay, making million work. No district help him, mining projects, so. Member time it level Friday, I hope to resolve some of this. Then we can announce to some MOU. I'm ready for this. You may sign and we can go forward want them expansion SML and access royalty, want them all checks. But on that point, finish me to thank you. Nami look sa leno na group, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Of first line into the country, give him 10% So time company na mining gold SML na if the royalty is 1 billion, Deputy Speaker, you imagine 1 billion of the royalty going to church. That's faith in action, Mr. Speaker, and we must commend that type of behavior, and let me commend him. Carry to people, billion more people for election to give tithe. Or put in action, sample me talk nothing. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Honorable Member for Menyama.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and Lok Sabha and people of Menyama. I will write them. People of Menyama need to talk. You question without notice, let me go to Minister of Law, State-owned enterprise. It's a question regarding sale law BSP from MVIL. People will work law scheme why it's the sale law BSP where MVIL holim lem government salim so we like ask him this law question. Law media na country sawe sem MVIL salim one good place say where SOE holim lem na BSP say ni sabe work law kisim good la money blow MVIL come inside na Yindi sawe na country sawe na Pacific sawe sem BSP work law expand BSP work law grow na BSP work law declaring good la profit over the years. The government will decide to salim 50% plus sales blow MVIL. So question to me, Minister, you must have BSPM, one blue chip investment, good investment blow. Government will invest inside no good return work law come law. This plan money have come, mems have go law. All get hard law country. You know go law MVIL tasol time MVIL salim. Declaring dividend goal of government law, KCH and government section is law money names as scaling law at have law country. So question him display. When they must or when they rational behind law salim 50% plus sales law MVIL or BSP sales from MVIL when they must law display a government salim BSP sales. Number two, question them. You must have BSP and only steam law pot must be stock exchange. Now suppose this places all been salim, all been auctioning law. Pot must be stock exchange where public and benefit and all can apply law this places or all can bid law this places or deal where you may give inside or close deal where this BSP says law MVIL may give law salim this places. As me been work time me been in school na me go work me trade law pot most stock exchange me come up with one broker na me salim na our BSP sales have been grown from that time coming up now and BSP and working good law money na me login good la dividend law government na me plan looking and BSP sales time all salim law listing law and public company so only listing na time making trade them. Oga the man meris agi benefit lo salim time mi salim oga da lo bid lo usat man mi kam good lem can buy this places so if you give this plan lo pot must be stock exchange or loga to emi close deal where imi wakim na salim this places. Number three question them mi lugi bosem minister to gosem mi plus salim MVIL sales law, kirabi mo narap law SOE company where mi work law dai go down land. Na me reading the website law treasury law budget paper from 2020 coming up law now law last year and this year. Me looking the government without failings have allocating big money law SOEs. Na where this money go na you work law salimol sales where I'm making big money block government or giving good return block government in Salim Gen, Lokirabi Molis Law Company where work Lodai go down. Suppose all board of directors blow MVIL or chairman blow MVIL, suppose all got him some inside information or market information about MVIL or BSP shares suppose collapse in the next few minutes, or few weeks, or hours, or few years. Na suppose that is some inside information on Salim this good plus shares. They're not going to talk about the country. Na mibla can say was a market about collapse or stock exchange market about collapse. All Salim more that is inside information. All Salim is good plus shares. It's illogical. Salim shares were making good. Na company were making good money. Lo Salim. Suppose in private company blow me Solen. Suppose in blow me na me director na me chairman blow this company. I'll be the fullest person. Lo Salim. One good investment.
Honorable member, put your statement into question.
The question I am this plan. So me ask him, Minister suppose I'm going to explain him. The country can say the country will ask him plenty of this place. So I'm going to explain him what this honorable house. I talk several people will make an array. Thank you, Tro.
Honorable Minister, State Enterprise.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I want to thank the member for asking these very important questions. The subject of the sale of MVIL shares in BSP have been the subject of much discussion, even in the social media as well as the mainstream media. First, I want to clarify this, and that is that the government does not own any shares in BSP. Those shares were held by MVIL, a completely different company, a limited company, so we need to get that correct. It is not the government shares. Any investor which owns shares normally does a due diligence on investment it owns in publicly traded company, and BSP is no exception. And KCH, being the shareholder of all our SOEs, including MVIL, commissioned a study as soon as the Marape government took office in 2022. And that included a comprehensive review of all investments held by our companies, and particularly the investment or the shareholding held by KCH in BSP. KCH owns 18% in BSP, and KCH now is the largest shareholder in BSP, followed by a number of companies, including MVIL, which held 6%. So in the case of MVIL, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this due diligence study confirmed that, as we know, shares in a publicly traded company are subject to fluctuation. And although BSP has always been providing consistent dividends to the shareholders, including KCH and MVIL, it was decided that the government was overexposed in holding shares in only one company. It was also the intention of this government to establish another commercial bank to provide competition in the market. And it was felt that BSP was not able to provide full banking service right throughout the four corners of our country. And it was felt that there was a need for another bank. And that is why most of you are aware that this government, under this government, we have established another commercial bank, the National Banking Corporation. So we were in a situation where we did not want to expose everything to one shareholding in one commercial bank. The government decided to diversify. And the idea of selling shares in MVIL was mooted in cabinet. There were three separate NEC decisions. The first one directed MVIL to conduct a due diligence, an insolvency test, and that was done. It was then brought back to cabinet, and cabinet was satisfied that even with the selling of those shares, the government's entire shareholding through KCH and MVIL would not be affected. That was a decision that was made in principle. There were three separate NEC decisions. Becoming a shareholder and having a share in a publicly traded company does not guarantee you dividends all the time. Sometimes the company can make money, sometimes it can make reduced profit. So we felt it was time to sell down, but still maintain 3% equity in the shares. I must also inform this cabinet or this parliament that MVIL was gifted those shares. It never paid for those shares. It's important, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that I explain the background to how MVIL became a holder of those shares. When the Macquarie government merged the smaller BSP with the bigger PNGBC
it was decided that in return for that merger, the government was going to be allocated 30% shareholding in the new bank, the new BSP. And under the banking laws that we have in this country, not one single shareholder is allowed to own more than 20% in a commercial bank, because as we all know, commercial banks deal with other people's money. And it can be a risky business too. So it was then felt that to comply with the banking requirements, KCH was allowed to keep 20%, and 10% was allocated or gifted to MBIL. And that is how MBIL got those shares. MBIL never paid for the shares using the motor vehicle owners' insurance trust funds. That money, even now, after the sale of BSP, has never been touched. The money belonging to all the motor vehicle owners in this country has remained untouched, and it is still there. And MBIL, as I speak, continues to hold a minimum of 300 million kina in cash every day. It is solvent all the time. But as I said earlier, Mr. Deputy Speaker, it was felt that there had to be a sell down, and there needed to be a sell down to be able to help KCH fund some of the projects that they have to be done. For instance, the aging infrastructure in PNG Power right throughout the country, not only in Port Moresby, but along the Island Highway and from Ley to Mereng, Wewak, Rabaul, everywhere. Most of the infrastructure is more than 30 years old. I keep telling this Parliament, and many people think it's an excuse, but there is a fact that we have to have money to be able to fund those projects. And the revenue that is being earned by PNG Power is not alone, and that is why this government, under the leadership of our Prime Minister, already made a decision in December last year to partially sell down PNG Power. And selling down a company like that is not straightforward. You need to engage all the experts who will value the company. It is not about selling PNG Power at a fire sale. We have to get value for our money. And it is going through a process now. But in the case of funding some of the infrastructure, we were able to secure a loan from ADB under the title ADB SOE Reform Loans. And that was 500 million kina, or $1 million. Unfortunately, due to misunderstanding with Treasury and the National Planning Department 2 years ago, most of the money did not get to SOEs. What do you expect me to do when these things happen in government? You have to have other ways of raising funds. And this is one SOE raising funds, selling down its shareholding to allocate money to free up cash so that other SOEs are bailed out. Gone are the days when SOEs will continue to rely on government funding through the national budget. We appreciate that there are the more competing needs, law and order, education, and these are supposed to be earning money. And when you have a situation where most of them are bleeding cash, you go for the low-hanging fruit. It makes economic sense. And that money, the proceeds of the sale, will be put to good use. And Cabinet has already allocated or approved the allocation of each separate expenditure items. Not one single toya will be misused. All of that money will be put to good use, and it's subject to an oversight committee by KCH. So the money will be put to good use. So, as I said earlier, Mr. Deputy Speaker, you can be a shareholder in a company, but that does not necessarily mean that you hold those shares forever and ever. As an investor, it comes to a time when you can make that investment decision to sell those shares at a price that is good. When the shares are performing well, you sell out and make the money, not when the bank shares are not performing well. So that was a commercial decision made by the boards of both MBL and KCH, and then finally approved by a cabinet. All the necessary processes were followed. Now, to answer the last question of how there was no public notice in the media inviting everyone to buy shares. Now, this is an area where you engage expert stockbrokers to do the selling for you. These are publicly traded companies, not a government auction process. This is a publicly traded company, BSP, where you all says. So JMP nominees, who are a locally based broker, we have two brokers in this country, Kina Securities and JMP. And JMP was engaged to conduct a sale process. And the sale process of shares held in a public company is not that straightforward. You have the usual process of know your customer, so that ultimately you know that you are selling your shares, ultimately not to a criminal who is using another company as a front or using a sham to hide his shareholding, but you have to know who you're selling to. So that process took 1 year. It took 1 year. It didn't take 6 months. And no politician was involved. Ultimately, the brokers were engaged and they did a thorough job in conducting that sale process through those who had the resource and the money. And they had a time frame. So ultimately, if we were to read what appeared in the postscript on 18th July, Friday 18th July, you will see that most of the shares were bought by MRDC group of companies. MRDC group of companies ultimately, the group of companies are trustee managers who manage equity and business interests for our landowners, ranging all the way from Octedi, our LNG plant site landowners here, and up the resource areas up in the upper islands. So you have a mix of shareholding representing our landowners. About 30% of the shares were then, of that particular shares were then acquired by local businesses in this country. Local business. We made it a condition of the sale that none of the shares would be sold to foreigners. So as a result, what you see, if you get to check the register of BSP, is that the largest shareholder in BSP is KCH, which ultimately owns MBL, followed by the MRDC group companies. They have become the second largest shareholders. And then down the line, you have our Nest Fund and all the others, also including MBL. And Mr. Speaker, I also want to inform Parliament that there is another 4% shareholding held by MBL, which was then pledged by MBL to borrow shares from Nest Fund under an equity monetization contract that was entered into before our time in 2018. So if you look at it, and if you look at it ultimately, even after the disposal of 3% shareholding in BSP by MBL, MBL will still be left with 7% ultimately after the conclusion of those court cases involving MBL, Nefman, and KCH. So all in all, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to conclude by saying that despite and contrary to what others are claiming to be, even to the, especially those uninitiated who don't even understand how stock market operations operate and why businesses own shares in companies like BSP, this decision was made to actually empower KCH to fund all the other projects. KCH still has a pipeline of project worth $1 billion which has to be spent, and we are not in the business of running to government again. We don't want to ask the government for funding again, and that is why that decision was made to sell the shares. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Honorable member, our question time has already left, so I would not allow for your supplementary question. Honorable members, our question time has lapsed. Leader of Government Business.
Deputy Speaker, I ask Leader of Parliament to move a motion without notice.
Slip granted. Granted. Leader of Government Business.
Deputy Speaker, I move that so much of the standing orders be suspended as would prevent orders of the day. Numbers 95, 96, and 163, government business being called on forthwith.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Clerk.
Order of the day number 95.
Organic Law on Certain Constitutional Office Holders Amendment Law 2024. Ministry for Justice and Attorney General, second reading, first required opportunity for debate and first vote.
Minister for Justice and Attorney General.
Mr. Speaker, in accordance with Standing Order 22B, I commence the first required opportunity for debate.
Make your speech.
Mr. Speaker and members of this honorable House, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Organic Law on Certain Constitutional Office Holders Amendment Bill. To amend the Organic Law on Certain Constitutional Office Holders, which is the principal law. Mr. Speaker, this proposed amendment will increase the retired age and the compulsory retirement age for the public prosecutor, the public solicitor, the chief magistrate, and the clerk of national parliament, and the auditor general from 55 years and 60 years respectively to 72 retirement age and 75 years compulsory retirement age. This is consistent with the policy decision by the government to standardize the retirement age and the compulsory retirement age of constitutional office holders to 72 years retirement age and 75 compulsory retirement age. This is consistent with the retirement age of other constitutional office holders such as the chief ombudsman, judges, and ICAC commissioners. Mr. Speaker, similar to the other proposed amendments, I have and will be introducing to standardize the retirement age and the compulsory retirement age of constitutional office holders. This is an effort to address the depleting experience, skills, and huge institutional knowledge gap that is found in most of our institutions today. Senior officials who still have adequate years to contribute to strengthening our institutions and contributing to service delivery are not able to do so due to them reaching retirement age. Further, the proposed amendment to increase the retirement age allows continuity and transfer of knowledge and skills to the younger generation of leaders. Mr. Speaker, with that, I commend the agreed law on certain constitutional office holders amendment act law to this honorable house. Thank you.
The question is that the question be put. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The question is that the proposed law be now read the second time. Those in favor say aye. And those against say no. Ayes have it. Clerk.
Second reading, a proposed law to aggregate certain constitutional office holders and for related purposes.
Minister for Justice and Attorney General.
Mr. Speaker, I ask leave of Parliament to move the proposed law without amendments forthwith.
Is leave granted? Leave granted. Minister for Justice and Attorney General.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the proposed law without amendments to be agreed to.
The question is that the proposed law without amendment be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. And those against say no. Ayes have it. Honorable members, as this is the first vote of the Constitution, required that the vote must be recorded and that in order for the proposed law to pass, it must be supported by a two-thirds absolute majority of 79 members. Honorable members, the Parliament will now vote. Clerk, please ring the bell. Attendants, close the door. The question is that the proposed law, with or without amendment, be agreed to. Those in favor, please stand. Those against, please stand. Honorable members, the result of the vote stands: those who say ayes 80 and noes 0. Honorable members, in accordance with Standing Order 222E, I now order the third reading, which is the second required opportunity for debate, and the second vote be adjourned to at least 2 months this day, as required by the Constitution. Clerk.
Order of the day number 96, Organic Law on National and Local Level Government Elections. Amendment Law 2024, Minister for Justice and Attorney General, second reading. First required purposes for debating. First vote.
Mr. Speaker. Sorry.
I present the report Justice and Attorney General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in accordance with Standing Order 222B, I now commence the first required opportunity for debate.
Make your speech.
Mr. Speaker and members of this Honorable House, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Organic Law on National and Local Level Government Elections Amendment Law to amend the Organic Law on National and Local Level Government, which is the principal law or act. Mr. Speaker, this proposed amendment will increase the retirement age and the compulsory retirement age for the Electoral Commissioner from 55 years and 60 years respectively to 75 retirement age and 75 years compulsory retirement age. This is consistent with the policy decision by the government to standardize the retirement age and the compulsory retirement age of constitutional office holders to 72 years retirement age and 75 compulsory retirement age. This is consistent with the retirement age of the other constitutional office holders such as the Chief Ombudsman, Chief Justice, IK commissioners. Mr. Speaker, similar to the other proposed amendments I have and will be introducing to standardize the retirement age and the compulsory retirement age of constitutional office holders. This is an effort to address the depleting experience, skills, and huge institutional knowledge gap that is found in most of our institutions today. Senior officials who still have the adequate years to contribute to strengthening our institutions and contributing to service delivery are not able to do so due to them reaching retirement age. Further, the proposed amendment to increase the retirement age allows continuity and the transfer of knowledge and skills to younger generation of leaders. Mr. Speaker, with that, I commend the Organic Law on National and Local Level Government Elections to this Honourable House.
The Honourable Member for Malek. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, to afford me the opportunity to debate on this important amendment. I'd like to acknowledge the Minister for Justice for bringing such an important amendment. Mr. Speaker, the amendment to increase the retirement age of constitutional office holders, including that of the Electoral Commissioner is a critical amendment, but it raises two threshold issues as a double-sided sword. On one side, a restriction of retirement at 65 to 50 or 60 years and 55. That law ensures that people that shouldn't have been appointed in the first place are forced to retire. On the second side of the law, it then also prohibits those who are qualified to hold that position and forcing them into retirement. So one such example that we have is a former Minister for Justice, Arnold Ahmed, who has been appointed by the government, Marape government, to become the ambassador to the U.S. And the issues of compulsory retirement age is an issue that's affecting eminent persons like Sir Arnold Ahmed. Mr. Speaker, I ask that in addition, if the Minister for Justice can bring also some other important amendments, like the appointment process for these important constitutional office holders. The current appointment relies on politicians, and given PNG's rating internationally for mismanagement, corruption, misuse funds, low development indicators, it's my opinion that we are the last people that should be appointing constitutional office holders to hold us accountable. So I've asked the good minister that he can also bring amendments to amend the appointments committee of these important constitutional holders, including eminent peoples like the Council of Churches, which we have now for the OC, Transparency International, perhaps someone nominated by the International Court or United Nations that can be added, and instead of politicians sitting on that committee, that the opposition could nominate eminent persons, the government could nominate eminent persons, and they could constitute that committee. And then clear guidelines are brought on the qualifications of those individuals to hold such important constitutional offices, especially elections. Under the current law, the Electoral Commissioner has total, absolute power to declare, not to declare. He has the power to appoint a RO, returning officer, who can declare or not to declare, to count boxes or not to count boxes. While there's provisions in our organic law that provide for an advisory committee, unfortunately, that advisory committee appears to be never to be acted and consulted, or even the advice that they provide is not binding on the Electoral Commissioner. So I ask that in addition to these amendments, the good minister and the government bring some more reforms, especially in the areas of appointing eminent, credible, accountable people, and to distance of those appointment processes from politicians. Thank you.
The question is that the question be now put. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The question is that the proposed law be now read a second time. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
Second reading, a proposed law to alter the organic law on national and local level government elections and for related purposes.
Mr. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I ask the leave of this Parliament to move the proposed law without amendments.
Is leave granted? Aye. Leave granted, Mr. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the proposed law without amendments be agreed to.
The question is that the proposed law without amendment be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Honorable members, as this is the first vote, the Constitution requires that the vote must be recorded, and that in order for the proposed law to pass, it must be supported by a two-thirds absolute majority of 79 members. Honorable members, the Parliament will now vote. Clerk, please ring the bell.
What are we voting for? There were several bills that were read. I, for one, am not going to vote for the electoral commissioner to be maintained. So I want to know what I'm voting for. So can we have some clarification? Vessels, don't wave me away. I'm asking on behalf of my people. What are we voting for? Dr. What exactly are we voting for? There have been several bills that have been brought here and we're now confused. One of something says you vote like to talk about and plus or not and vote. Suppose I'm like standing for electoral commissioner, me not vote, me by talk about now. Electoral commissioner, honorable election of 2017, 2022, 2021. Why am I not voting come back? So talk about
There is no such thing as point of order because the vote is being taken. This la paper, circulating la member, finish you looking, you redeem, minister will talk him. So I'm process flow. If you don't want to vote, you've got the right not to vote. You must have a stage long. Voting ain't no at point of order on this flag. Huh? Mr. The Parliament will now vote. The question is that the proposed law without amendments we now agree to. Those in favor, please stand.
What's your report? What's your And then what about the next one?
Honorable members, the results of the votes, the ayes 61 and the noes 11. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I move to rescind the paper to a later date. I think that the explanation to the paper is a good paper. It's for all constitutional holders. It's just that the example confused our members, and we'll bring back at a later date. Thank you.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Mr. Clark.
Order of the day number 163. Governing law on provincial governments and local governments amendment of 2025. Minister for Provincial and Local Government Affairs, second reading, first vote. First report proposing for debate and first vote on 31 July.
Minister for Provincial and Local Level Government Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, in accordance with Standing Order 222B, I now commence the first required opportunity for debate.
Make your speech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is with greatest respect and profound sense of duty that I rise before this honorable House today to present the proposed amendments to Organic Law on Provincial Government and Local Level Government 1995. These changes reflect our government's ongoing commitment to transferring powers, strengthen governance, accountability, and service delivery mechanisms at sub-national levels. Mr. Speaker, these amendments also emanate from a series of provincial government conferences held over the last 2 years with strong recommendation for certain national functions to be
delegated to provincial governments as part of greater decentralization of national powers and functions to subnational level governments for effective service delivery and promoting self-reliance and greater autonomy. Justification for amendments to specific sections of Organic Law on Provincial Governments and Local Level Governments, 1995. Mr. Speaker, Section 27 is amended by repealing subsection 1A and replacing it with the following. 1A, where city authority is established in an area under Section 33B, an urban local level government that existed in the area ceased to exist and its powers and functions are subsumed into city authority. And subsection 4B is also repealed to allow the boundaries of local level government to be confined to one open electorate. Mr. Speaker, a new section 33B is intended to provide for enabling provisions in Organic Law on Provincial Governments and Local Level Governments for enhancement of city authorities legislation, enactment rather, city authorities legislation. Currently, there is no provision in Organic Law that allows for Parliament laws to create city authorities. There are challenges currently faced since the establishment of city authorities or cities like Lae, Mount Hagen, and Kokopo. Thus, this provision legally strengthens this establishment. Mr. Speaker, a new Section 33C is intended to get provincial governments and district development authorities to enter into service delivery partnership agreements to implement impact projects in the districts and to align and integrate district plans into provincial plans, making planning, budgeting, resource implementation, monitoring, and evaluation and reporting easier, thus ensuring visibility of impact projects and services that achieve value for money. Mr. Speaker, Section 34 is amended to clearly state in Organic Law that terms of local level governments is 5 years. An election to the local level government must be conducted 30 months after the conduct of national election to the National Parliament. The 30 months time period is to allow PNG Electoral Commission to sort out any issues arising out of conduct of national elections. At the present 3 months period between national general elections and local level government election is not feasible, considering the strain on budget and manpower to conduct both elections. It will give ample time to properly prepare for LLG elections. Mr. Speaker, Section 73 is amended to give powers to Provincial Executive Council to appoint and revoke appointment of provincial administrators. This is one of the major shifts by Marape-Rosso government to further empower the provincial governments through the decentralization agenda to make ownership of their issues and development challenges. This will be done in accordance with recommendations from Public Service Commission to ensure merit-based appointments are done. Mr. Speaker, Part Roman 4 of the Organic Law is amended in Division 3 by adding Subdivision DA in capital that provides for unconditional service improvement program funding to provincial governments, DDAs, city authorities, LLGs, and wards in every financial year to address their priority needs. Service Improvement Program, or SIP, to provincial governments, DDAs, LLGs, and wards will be mandatory by law and will be given through budgetary appropriation regardless of which side of the House MP seats. Mr. Speaker, further under this funding arrangement, the national government will allocate a minimum of 20 million to each provincial governments, 10 million to each district, which is the current practice. Further, 250,000 to each LLGs and 30,000 to each wards in the country. And this funding is allocated irrespective of political affiliation of elected representatives. All the amounts stated are minimal, as country's cash flow increases or any increases NEC decides, then the amount can increase. This is one of the most important provisions included to fairly distribute the wealth of the country to every province, district, cities, LLGs, and wards. Mr. Speaker, Section 98 is amended to allow for percentage of development levies under Section 98 to be given to DDAs in which natural resource projects are developed. This percentage is to be determined at the Development Forum. Mr. Speaker, local level government is a legal entity that participates at Development Forum when natural resource is developed in the district. DDA being implementing agents of LLG must be given percentage of levies to implement LLG policies and projects. This can be achieved by memorandum of agreement or memorandum of understanding during the Development Forum. Mr. Speaker, the new subsection 2 is the enabling provisions that allow for DDAs to get certain percentage of levies, and details should be captured in MOA or MOU. Mr. Speaker, Section 119 is amended to strengthen ministers' role in ensuring compliance in the submissions of annual performance report by provincial government and local level governments. More powers and functions will now be decentralized to provincial governments. The accountability and performance of these functions must be strengthened at sub-national levels. Mr. Speaker, this amendment represents a vital step towards strengthening our legislative framework on decentralization and responding to evolving needs of our people. In essence, amendments to organic law will, beside others, will ensure that wealth and resources of the nation is fairly and equally distributed to our provinces, districts, cities, LLGs, and wards in the country by ensuring that unconditional grants for service improvement programs are mandatory by law and given to our provinces, districts, LLGs, wards, regardless of where our elected representatives sit on this floor of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, finally, I must also make it quite clear that these amendments are done with good intention and in the interest of our nation. And so may I now respectfully ask the consideration of all the members of this Parliament to support these amendments. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Governor Provincial.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand on behalf of the people of Isipik, and I think all peoples who feel marginalized in the country. And I stand to thank the minister and to support him. In my almost 8 years in Parliament, Mr. Speaker, I have been urging two different governments to empower local government so that empowerment can lead to perhaps transformational communities so that our country can move forward. Let me also acknowledge some of our founding fathers who are seated in the Speaker's Gallery, particularly my good friend Warren Dutton. It's good to see you, sir. It's been a while. And to also say that I think many of our past leaders have sought similar amendments in the arrangements between national and subnational government so that we can get better outcomes, Mr. Speaker. One of the issues that I find is still lacking and will need some more work, and before I say that, I wish to also place on record that this is perhaps the most substantial amendment to the 1995 law since it was created. So let me just, again, further acknowledge the work of Minister Soroi, and, you know, to put on record the gratitude of the people of ECP. Because I think changes such as this, even though we need greater changes to help us move forward, I think this takes us one step of the way forward rather than going back all the time. There is still a need, Mr. Speaker, for some kind of an equalization grant. And I say this because there is a tendency in government to fund the mechanisms, not so much to take into account the size of some of our electorates. And particularly, North Fly is 21,800 square kilometers. Middle Fly is 44,000 square kilometers. We have provinces that are smaller than some of these districts. South Fly is 31,800 kilometers square. The biggest in ECP is Angoram, 17,000 square kilometers. I place on record that Angoram is bigger than the autonomous region of Bougainville. It is bigger than New Ireland. It is bigger than Manus. It is bigger than Enga. It is bigger than Southern Highlands. It is bigger than Jiwaka. It is bigger than Western Highlands. Some of these districts are huge, Mr. Speaker. Hela as well. It's bigger than Hela. So these four districts I have mentioned, Mr. Speaker, they have the greatest opportunity for growth in our country because of their sheer size. But North Fly, Angoram, Middle Fly, and South Fly receive less money, and with great respect, I'm just using it as an example, than, say, Mosby South. Yeah. And I'm just picking, no offense. No offense. And even Mosby Northwest. They receive more money for development than these four districts that I have singled out as an example. Now, Mr. Speaker, one of the comments, and I say that again respectfully, Prime Minister, the Prime Minister always says, those of the provinces that can make enough money, we will consider you for autonomy. I want to change the thinking of government and suggest that perhaps you should help those provinces to make more money so they can ask for autonomy. By way of this policy. The country can only be strong if the provinces are strong. And I want to place on record my great excitement and my commendations to the leaders of Papua for the declarations that you made yesterday. It is about time some of our people recognize the importance of autonomy. Autonomy does not necessarily mean independence. It means that you give the different ethnic groups their opportunity for development on their own terms. This country cannot develop if we continue to try to manage it from the center. It hasn't worked in 50 years. If it has, we wouldn't be having these conversations, Mr. Speaker. So I commend the minister, I commend the government relenting, and I ask for a change of thinking from the cabinet. Support all of us so that the provinces can become strong to support the national government, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday I met with a group of investors from China, and today they are flying to UAC to invest in the Nunguaya Bongos area of my province, which is some of our most remote. It is a struggle to convince investors to invest simply because we don't have the ability. And I note some of the concerns raised by our senior leader and the member for Abao in relation to the projects that he wanted to do in his area. We lack the capability to support these people. The group that is on its way to Nunguaya Bongos between Wasara and Ambunti Dreki Kia, they intend to invest $500 million, Mr. Speaker. I have another investor that wishes to put in about 10 billion, and I'm working with the good minister for planning, the Honorable Ahmed Pala, to try to bring that to fruition. Again, this is in response to the government's direct challenge for provinces to raise your own revenue. Mr. Speaker, I note our former leaders and our founding fathers, some of whom are sitting in the gallery today. They spoke here on similar matters, and now, 50 years later, you have another leader and other leaders who are concerned about the same issues. How is our country going to look 50 years from now if we do not take these brave steps to bring in the changes that our people need? We've got to strengthen provincial governments, we've got to strengthen national governments, so that when leaders like those who are in the gallery leave, when leaders like myself leave, Mr. Speaker, when the voices that are here raising these important issues leave, who else gets to drive the country forward with these important considerations? Lastly, I want to just say to the good minister the challenges that I see. One of the challenges I see with the locking in of funding to districts, to LNGs and to wards is a concern that I raised last week in relation to 500 new wards being created in certain parts of the country, and the good Prime Minister gave an undertaking that he would bring to the floor where those wards are being created. My fear is this: when we create new districts, when we create new LNGs, and when we create new wards, it's simply to get more money or to get more members of parliament. And this is the fear. We need to understand the methodology, and there needs to be a more robust process, Mr. Speaker. When I became governor of East Sepik, the East Sepik province had 28 local level governments, and it had 667 wards, and that was from the time of Somare. Today, as I stand here, East Sepik still has 28 local level governments, and it still has 667 wards. There's been no increase, Mr. Speaker. And even though we are in the process of trying to split some of our LLGs because they are too big, we have not endeavored to create new wards. So as, and on behalf of the people of East Sepik, I am wondering, what is the rationale for other provinces creating new districts, creating new LLGs, and creating particularly 500 new wards? And now that all of this comes with constitutionally guaranteed funding, my fear is that they will be pushed for more wards, they will be pushed for more LLGs. Why? Because they come with more money. So I would urge, through you, Mr. Speaker, the good minister, to build in safeguards so that we don't get new wards and new LLGs created just because we get more money and just because it might affect the outcome of a district election. We need to be very careful because some people have been able to outsmart government systems. So by creating new wards, they give themselves more voters. So it is a danger that I wanted to flag because based on my own experience sitting as chair of the Special Committee on Elections, these are some of our findings. that some people have figured out how to create new wards to get more votes. So I ask the government to be cautionary and to build in safeguards. We cannot skew things so that they suit our individual desires and our individual ambitions. Mr. Speaker, with that, I commend the bill, I thank the Minister, and I give you my full support. Thank you.
The Honourable Governor for Northern Province.
I also wish to just add a few comments in regards to this bill and commend the Minister. He has been a very active Minister for this particular ministry since he has taken office. We all agree with this. He has been engaging with governors and has taken our agendas and transformed them into realities, including this bill that he has brought here. I also wish to commend the Mato government, of which I am a part of. And when we took office in 2019, all of us, including some of my colleagues on that side, were very supportive because the good Prime Minister insisted that the provincial governments would be an area of concern for him, and he would ensure that provincial governments are strengthened and become more relevant. But good Prime Minister, whilst this is happening from the perspective of the Department of Provincial level and local level governments, some other ministries are not taking this agenda on board, and I would like you to spend time with them to encourage them to do so. And I'll elaborate as I go along in my few comments that I wish to make here. But first and foremost, I think that it's an opportune time for us, now that we're approaching the 50 years mark, to review the 95 reforms that took place some 30 years ago and what impact it has had on our nation, good and bad. I think largely bad, some good. This decision to fix something that wasn't broken has caused a lot of problems for many provinces. And all you have to do is drive around anywhere in Papua New Guinea to any district or station, and you see the dilapidated states of these districts and stations. And they all started to decline after the reforms. And then they encouraged urban drift. Everyone left the stations and districts and migrated to the urban centers, placing huge burdens on very limited infrastructure and services, and then causing the ethnic unrest of which we are discussing on front page newspapers and seeing. Our people are looking for opportunities, and they had these opportunities in their districts and their stations prior to 95. What happened? What happened with these reforms that led to this significant nationwide urban drift trend, which we are all witnessing? So I would say that this government, perhaps through this particular ministry, needs to carry out this review of these reforms, find out what worked, what didn't work. And if we have to revert back to some systems that were working, then why not? Why not? I, for one, think that governors should return to their provinces and be premiers, run their provinces. And then we should have perhaps regional representatives representing those provinces and form a bicameral house. And those regional representatives can, besides representing their regions or their provinces, can also perform the duties of running parliamentary committees, which are very important and need the attention, permanent attention, of members of parliament. These are discussions we have to have going forward the next 50 years. What's the next 50 years going to look like? And as for some of the points I noted in here, funding for LLG, I think this is a great step in the right direction. There was funding for LLG, it was taken away, it was brought back. I think we should leave funding for LLG alone. Let it be permanent funding for the LLG. But
put in place mechanisms so that they report and they acquit their funds. They have to be educated sufficiently so that they know what they're supposed to be doing. I want to also propose that we consider national government focusing on developing standards and policies, monitoring provinces, seeing how they perform in the maintaining of these standards and the implementation of these policies at the provincial government level. Rather than Waigani running to provinces and districts, carrying out its activities often without the knowledge of the districts or provinces. And I want the good Minister for Mining to take note, the good Minister for Petroleum to take note. These are the two areas which this seems to happen all the time, where you have wardens' hearings being conducted without the knowledge of the district or the province. All by going to kisim sambla kain mumut na, big dog na talk also more conducting wardens' hearing ya. Next minute all give license na permit lo here na mibla lo province mibla ino sabe, district to ino sabe. Ay. No landowner all talk landowner man, I'm around the backside lo Borogo post office, I'm no landowner through. Mats go come lo Waigani one time Manila folder na karam kain proposal lo kona. And talk em landowner na yubla hurry up through na maki mem. Na ino long time one kind agreement, one kind contract you come up na online lo papa ground through lo place holder sabe. All karab nunggu dia, ay one mining company come up now all the time. Who said tell him you come? No, me plak sim permit lo. Waigani nam plak come. Warden cheering me plak holim lo here. No got one lo warden cheering come up. You plak sim all mumut na all magani nam bot me plak to keep plak miki warden cheering. This plak kind passing must stop. And you can transfer these responsibilities back to the provinces. We know who our landowners are. We can carry out these social mapping exercises at the district level, at the provincial level, involve the district member, involve the provincial government. They must be involved in these negotiations. They're our resources after all. So we should have a say about our resources. Gas, gold, nickel, cobalt, whatever it is. So I think we should focus on making this a reality going forward into the next 50 years, so that we can all participate in the economic development of our nation. I want to just make a comment here about GST. Right now, GST is carved out in such a way that I believe the percentage is 60-40. 60-40. And that's not even a real agreement. There's no law that says that we should be given 40%, 60%, and national government should you need to go and review these laws and these policies. That's not even real. And it's unfair to small provinces. It is. I would pledge, or I would propose, that 100% be given to the small provinces, the small economies. A bulk of the GST returns are collected in Leh and Port Moresby. Because most of these companies that are operating in this country are headquartered there. Very little is actually making it to the provinces. Allow the provinces to collect their own taxes. And those taxes can then make it back to the districts and stations and fund their upkeep, fund their water and power and law and order. Right now, there's no funds going to the districts and stations. That's why all the man will come to town here, come to city here, all come like some settlement. Still in the ground government or still in finish now or still in ground proper ground too. So me proposal say me must look 100% GST must go to legal provinces. Blow me number one on top me talk. For some idea blow. Now some legal province where you can give him also responsibilities, also power. Wara, so that all can collect him revenue blow yet, na look out him all yet, give him back law. Give him back law. But you will manage him standard, na policies lo here law, Waigani. Now me like to thank you through law, minister law, accept him proposal blah blah, also him Kokora by come up one town, no longer station. So on behalf of me na good member of Lomilo Sohe, if I talk big, thank you through the government. We intend to build Kokora station into a township, a tourism town, It is one of the largest tourist destinations in PNG, and we have been doing that. We've sealed all the roads. We're bringing water and power back. Instead of going to Cairns, some of you can fly to Kokora. It's only 20 minutes. And some of you who need to walk should walk the trail to Kokora and spend some time there. Okay, and go back to your size 32 trousers instead of the size 48 trousers. Now you walk away. I'm through, huh? Me talk like help, please. So some thing, Now, one advise me like him, fellow governors, for me realize him also, you can create him what they call bureaus for your provincial government, and we've done that. And we created the Bureau of Environment and Conservation. And in fact, when we brought it to DPLG, they were quite shocked. They said, no, you can't do this. Then they took it to the Attorney General's office and they cleared it and said, no, you can. Whereby we can now manage what activities are undertaken in our province insofar as the environment and conservation of our natural resources are concerned. And this is to complement the 90 million kina project up in Managlas, the largest environmental conservation project in the country that we are fortunate to host. We now want to go towards creating the Minerals and Energy Bureau so that we can have greater oversight over what is happening in our province and district insofar as minerals and energy is concerned. Yes, we're a poor province, but we're the largest nickel cobalt holdings in the world, and we will be having a say as to what happens to the development of those resources on behalf of our people, as well as what's going to happen offshore in Buna with our oil and gas. We're looking forward to that. Right now, we are just paupers. We watch and we say our time will come. But we're also putting in place the instruments and the mechanics to ensure that we control the development of our resources, and therefore we are able to structure our future, not just be mere spectators. Thank you through Mara Barroso government. Prime Minister, you have kept your word, and I will continue to hold you to account from time to time about this, that the provincial governments must be strengthened. And finally, I want to say something in regards to a recent research that's been carried out by an organization called the Constitutional Law Reform Commission. Chairman is here. He's a great guy. He's doing great work. But, Chairman, you need to watch what your guys are doing. They went and carried out a survey, for instance, a very confusing survey. And in this survey, they consulted all the 4 regions, and they asked them about the different tiers of government as to whether they wanted to keep the current provincial government system or do away with it. Most, about 90 to 80% of the regions, all the regions, unilaterally voted 80% to retain the provincial government system. But your organization came out and made a recommendation that the provincial government system should be done away with. How did this happen? Chairman, I insist you go and you ask your technocrats. Only one can walk here. What's the purpose of conducting a survey if you're not going to listen to the results? Thank you.
Honourable Member Lumadang.
Speaker. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like the opportunity to contribute to today's debate on these important amendments. First, I'd just like to add some remarks to my colleague, Governor for East Sepik, concerning Angram. He is correct that Angram is 17,000 square kilometers. However, its population is only 98,000. So while we talk about the size of an LLG in a district as it relates to provincial local level government, we don't provide service to tree and mountain. We provide services to people. So one important factor that needs to be considered, not only the size of an electorate, but its population and where that population is residing. Some electorates are large, but everyone resides in one corner. So while Western Province, North Fly, before the amendments or new electorate was 44,000 square kilometers, but its population is only within the 60 to 70,000. In comparison, Goroka, total size of Goroka electorate is only 300 kilometers, not 1,000, 300, but its population is over 100,000. So I note the amendments raise the issue concerning local level governments, in principle where they would apply within an electorate. Now that's important, and I commend the Minister for bringing this amendment. However, I noted that the recent amendments to these new electorates, some of them left out an entire LLG. We have sections in our country that don't even exist in an LLG or district. We must be the only country in the world where we left out sections of our country under these new reforms. We have new electorates where they operate in different electorates. For example, the Motokotabu electorate, where it is spread over Mosby West, East, and South. And this government created a new electorate where they are in 3 different electorates. But when they did the boundary, they only put it in 1 electorate. What kind of amendments are these? If we're going to talk about amendments, then we need to start following the law. And I looked into that report, which I had, for record, opposed in NEC, that they didn't even follow the constitutional process to bring in these new amendments, which is a requirement to display the maps. And because no maps were displayed, they just made up boundaries and left out parts of our own country. So I asked the good minister responsible provincial local level governments, before some of us bring our own court case to have these amendments thrown out, to make corrections. Other amendments concerning city authorities, determination of service function responsibility. I commend the minister, but there are many roles and responsibilities under the existing DDA that need to be addressed. For instance, it provides that the minister will determine service delivery. I went to a leadership tribunal, and the question was, well, did the minister declare what service delivery? No. And when we checked with the department, there was no declaration done. So we are left guessing, well, what's the function? Another issue concerning LLGs and DDAs, it states that allowances for members of DDA shall be determined by SRC and shall be no more than the allowance set by Provincial Assembly. So when I inquired, how much is Provincial Assembly? No one seems to know, because they are all different versions. And recently I understand there was a SRC determination to pay an acting chairman 50% of a member's pay. When you are LLG and you appointed acting chairman of a DDA, all DDA members, even members of parliament, we only get, well, my district only gets 200 kina. I don't know how a LLG president is going to get 50% of a salary of a member of parliament. He is not a member of parliament. So why would he be entitled to 50% of our pay? He doesn't go to the electorate. He's the LLG president. Now, the duration correction concerning LLG elections, this is long overdue. So the current law states that LLG elections shall either be concurrent with the current national election, or no more than 3 months after the issue of writ, which means if the elections are returned in August, no later than January. Now we are making it midterm elections, which is good, because the last 2 LLG elections were made history under these 50 years that we don't even follow the law. We have been breaking the law, and LLG presidents have been serving 7 to 8 years only in PNG. So this will make it legal, but the question is, will we even declare elections on the correct date that we are supposed to declare? Okay, moving on to other amendments proposed. While I acknowledge that the ministers brought in constitutional amendments guaranteeing DSIP, when we pass an appropriations bill, it is already a law, it is already guaranteed. That's not the problem. The problem is actually paying the money. Now, if we are getting cash flow problem now, and we are not receiving our full DSIP, and we are close to 5 months, 4 months now, and some districts have only received 2 million or 1 million or 3 million, then what's the point of putting it in the law when you're not even following the law? And then we'll talk, sorry, no got money. So now, when you don't pay and you say no money, then you breach the Constitution. So who do we hold accountable for not complying with the Constitution? So I wish to bring that to the attention of the minister. It's good to put it in the law. Law and paper, nothing, until someone enforces the paper. Then law, you got meaning. The issue concerning appointments of provincial administrators. Now, this is a controversial issue, because sometimes you get a good provincial governor, and sometimes you don't. So when you get a good provincial governor, and NEC appoints a good PA, no problem. The problem is, sometimes you get a good governor and not so good ministers supporting a good PA that would work with him. And then you have cases where you have a bad governor. Well, under these amendments, A bad governor will appoint his own PA. Therefore, he controls the entire province, and which will affect every district, because the PA appoints your DA, and he controls, under the law, every public servant and control him. So that's my concerns regarding this. We have to factor. You want to change the law, you got good plan and no good. So if we have a problematic provincial government, because the PEC, governor, want him as president, want him on the place. So therefore, governor has full control. Whatever he says, now, if it's a good governor, he will appoint a good PA. We know that issue. My problem is when it's not a good governor, and how it will affect all us, all district members, and DDA, believe me. On the issue concerning what reports, I think I'm long for debate, so that's all. Thank you, through, and I commend the bill.
Honorable Governor Blong, Southern Highlands.
Finish. Me like also contribute long this law or legislation. Me like debate long end. First time through me like commend him government and the minister for this very important legislation that is required for the country. That you kiss him come long. Parliament. Although there is a lot more to bring in terms of fixing governance and service delivery. Me like Sanap Long marking people and commending you on the legislation before us. Firstly, me commending government that me go through the 50 years, he get reset. 50-year reset, the court restructure, you may work in pennies. Land restructure, you may talk pennies. Mining and petroleum production sharing, we are looking at. Public service rationalization, reorganization. Foreign affairs, now not important agenda block government, where you may give him look survey, how far you may come and where we are going on the basis of our current circumstances, you may stop long end. Mean like talk about long you may, now people from Papua New Guinea all same, 50 years. How have we traveled in this service delivery dynamics challenge we've been talking about it time in, time out? It's one of big challenge facing governments after governments and leaders after leaders inside the country. I think on the basis of this meal, talk long, how has the structure of government from central to subnational government go along DDA and go along one community set up structurally? Now, administrative realignment, have we done this correctly over the last 50 years to bring about service delivery? And following this structural organization, administrative realignment, have we linked legislations connecting it to make service delivery an effective and efficient service delivery? That's the question. So the functions of government. You look in the Department of Personal Management, the Department of Intergovernment Relations, all you get this booklet, all talk funding, following functions. That talks about education, for example. What functions of education when national government take charge? Provincial government take charge. Now DDA, now local level government take charge. It's very clear there. One kind long health, one kind long DPI, village courts and land mediation and other functions, including NBC, all the functions of government, it's clearly articulated. And then you look in these functions, following funding. Funding is following functions to the different levels of government. And if we do this correctly, service delivery will be effective, efficient, and the way we are looking at it. Right now, we're looking at plenty of congestion, convolution, and a lot of something I'm going through long end. We are disintegrating service delivery.
why me tokose? Member Blobi long 11 LLGM to take charge law secondary school and high school long plus Blomi so me logo class law slab. We should demarcate these functions properly so that we know exactly what we are supposed to do, and funding through the national government grants follows these functions. I think we need to look at it in a very big way of this plan. Before me also comment long some sections of the proposed law stop long end. One area where me looking when me get big abuse long end. Me like him, Minister look law this plan. Section 27 long. Ward creation law 11 LLG, it's big, in my view, I mean, it's an abused area. Government must take proper control on this kind of ward proclamation. And in it law, ward want them LLG by current this come along respective LLG, get the approval there at the LLG level. And where the DDA comes in, I don't know. And you carry him come to provincial assembly, MIPLA approve him, sampler, so a shortcut come into government department or provincial affairs and then go to NEC for proclamation. I think LLG too one time, so you may need loan. Take some control and scrutinize in this process good. Because we may get to the stage where there's so many wards and so many LLGs created without considering the process properly. Not blah. Alongside long development planning, we think was in one district, more implementation arm long district, long province and national. We no think also district should become separate functional government authority because it will disintegrate governance and service delivery. So I think underneath long this legislation where Minister Karim come, you may need to deal with them this concept and try to unify country's service delivery with the structures we have. Otherwise, we might disintegrate service delivery and lead to fragmentation. Something me looking long and inside long this legislation, me like commending my minister, the appointment of provincial administrators by the PEC and assembly and one good stop inside long law na me one bell na support lo display. Me comment finish creation of wards and LLGs. I think there's a bit of abuse in there. Me recommend also you may try and put some scrutiny measures in this process. And me also like comment long this was section 98, you get all not the development levies stuff. Law oil and gas, me plus have a 2% wellhead, but the law prescribes other levies that is applicable. So Minister and Department long end can look inside the display. But generally, me like commend the Minister, me like emphasize on this funding following functions. All the functions of government are there. If you can demarcate this, put the funding through the different levels of government, I think we should institutionalize service delivery and it will become an effective service delivery in the country. But so far, with the legislation and the amendments that is coming through, me commend him and me support him, this legislation.
The Honourable Member for Hearing Inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to join in this debate this morning. Before I do, I want to acknowledge, this afternoon, thank you, Honourable Member for Apau. I want to acknowledge the presence of the students, 90 students from the Quarry Park Adventist Secondary School in the gallery today. So welcome, students, and thank you for attending this important gathering of your leaders of the nation. Mr. Speaker, I must, through you, thank the Honourable Minister for Provincial and Local Governments, the Honorable Soroe Marepo Eoe. It is important I mention his name. I want to thank him for a number of reasons. And these reasons are embedded in his speech, and I will wish to address the relevant provisions, or a number of the provisions that have been brought forward for amendment. Section 33B is intended to provide for an enabling provision of the organic law for the enactment of city authorities legislation. It is an enabling provision to create city authorities. And the city authorities legislation is very relevant to the district of Hiri Koiari. Why? Because the city of Port Moresby has reached its progression and growth and expansion. So while we are a rural and urban mixed district, Hiri Koiari provides itself sits out as an area that must be contemplated and envisioned for city growth. So city authority in the Hiri LLG, for instance, and the Koiari and Banapa Brown area are a natural growth area, growth center for the city and the people of Papua New Guinea. And it will become the next city, biggest city in the country. And so as not to be reactive, we have to be proactive as to the future of the growth of this country. I commend the Minister for having this long-term vision to provide the ambit and the ability for growth to happen. Section 33B and the new version of the organic law creates that enabling ability to create city authorities, and I hope Hiri Koiari is contemplated for that slate. The details of which we can deal with at a later point. I recommend the good minister in this regard. Now, Part 4 of the organic law is amended in Division 3 by adding subdivision DA that provides for unconditional service improvement programs and constitutionalized these grants. There is a positive and a negative to this. The positive aspect is that it guarantees these grants to come straight to the members of parliament or and the districts or the provinces that we are responsible for. The risk, of course, is that we heard only last week that about 500 boards are being created. Did I miss something, or did we just miss something somewhere? It seems, and therefore, as the good governor for East Sepik has highlighted in his debate, which is an undertaking by the Prime Minister to make disclosure of those 500 wards and where these wards are being created and which provinces, because there are certain catchment areas in my district, for instance, heavily populated, and yet only one councillor to look after this as a ward. If, let's say, for argument's sake, this councillor was granted 30,000 kina in the LLG ward and 250,000 for the LLG, what that effectively means for the ward is that it only has 30,000 kina guaranteed to the councillor over 10,000 people he or she is responsible for. To what and how he will implement or disperse these funds is now becoming a concern. Or is it the case that wards are being created en masse to align themselves for these sort of benefits? Food for thought only. Well, while I say that, perhaps it might be prudent also to prescribe the standards for creation of wards then. What is the process? Perhaps that is something we could think about. We need to standardize the creation of wards, and at what point should a ward be split for a new ward to be created, and consequently, eventually, when should a district be split for a new district to be created, for instance? We need to standardize these prescriptions so that we are fair in this country. We are setting international standards and we are meeting international global standards of governance. Then my next point on Section 98 is one where many of our colleagues in this House are dancing up and down in spirit and in heart today. I am one of those people. Minister, through the Speaker, thank you very, very much for bringing this amendment to the people of Papua New Guinea, one that has been long outstanding, and one that has been vigorously debated in this Parliament and has been negotiated aggressively in many corridors. Today sees a great light to the people of, in my case, for the people of Iroquois, so that we do not have to negotiate and aggressively debate with our provincial governors on development levies, for instance. We are also enabled through this amendment to be privy at the negotiating table for future projects in resource development. Example, for the Papua LNG Total's development that is envisaged for this country, at least the district members of parliament are allowed to sit at the table to negotiate and to provide guidance and leadership, to contemplate future risks, to understand the packages that should be cascading not only to the district, but also provide guidance and support to the landowners who are present in those discussions. Very complex, sophisticated discussions many times. A lot of times these negotiating items are thrown around the room, and our not so sophisticated, complex landowners are sitting there watching these discussions go by, and more often than not, to their own detriment. And after the event, we come to the floor and make noise. We should be looking at signals, not noise. Too many times we are making noise, and nothing good comes of these noises. So, Minister, thank you so very, very much. On behalf of my people of Iroquois and on behalf of those districts who are unable to speak, members who are not unable to share today because of the limitations of time, I say thank you. This has been long outstanding. And you're a fantastic, aggressive, progressive minister, and we stand ready to support you in these areas of great concern. Now, finally, Mr. Speaker, yesterday we were blessed with the presence of the Prime Minister of New Zealand. And this morning we had some discussions on benefit sharing of certain resource projects in this country. Mr. Speaker, we also heard in reply to the Prime Minister's address from the mouth of our Honourable Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, Honourable James Marape, that in September we are looking forward to receiving the General Secretary for the United Nations addressing this House. These are very, very important events that are going to take place on the 50th anniversary of our country's birth. Why I say this is important, Mr. Speaker, is this. While we talk about reforms such as these critical resource reforms and organic law restructuring and creating greater governance, I believe, Mr. Speaker, respectfully, we must also be mindful of the standards that we are setting, that the standards we must aspire to achieve. You see, many times we are falling short because our standards we create our own standards, and we are lowering many of these standards. Mr. Speaker, one such standard that we should be looking to, I believe, is on landowner rights and privileges of the indigenous people of this country. I want to set the tone and allow thinking around this visit of the General Secretary of the United Nations in September, because the question then begs, what are we going to deliver in terms of standards? What standards are we providing for the tribal people, indigenous people of this country, who are landowners all over this country, sitting on 97% of the real estate of this country? I did not have an opportunity to ask the question without notice, but I will share the thoughts with another member to share at a later date, or I can share it later. But bearing in mind, the ILO, International Labour Organization, Convention 169 is one that has not been ratified by this country or this parliament. This is talking about standards. When we talk about land reform, we talk about standards on governance. We must set our standards very high. We're not set our own standards, but standards that are globally accepted. Globally accepted, and we are ticking boxes for financing of the world, or financiers who come and participate or provide interventions into our budgetary processes, into our budget, into 2026, 2027, and so on. Madam Disla, we have to be mindful of the, let's say, for instance, World Bank's environmental and social framework standards. These standards are critical to financial interventions and to budgetary interventions from multilaterals, for instance. So these are standards I'm talking about. So if we have talking about standards, when even creation of wards must be set to a standard, high standard. We're talking about benefit distribution and landowner equity and distribution of free, prior, informed consent, then we must set those standards and we must conform to those standards. Lest I deviate and digress too far from the core of the debate this morning, Honorable, through the Speaker, I want to thank once again the good Minister for sponsoring these very vigorous amendments to the Organic Law and Provincial Local Government, and thank the Mariposa government for bringing forward these amendments at this juncture. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member Blabao.
Thank you, Speaker. I'll be very, very short because the speakers before me have really echoed many of the sentiments that I have held for a long time as Member of Parliament. And I want to also thank the Minister who has done an extremely excellent job for listening to all the debates over the years and packaging it in this most important organic law, the organic law on provincial governments and local level governments, because it determines the quality of service delivery to our people. This is the law, this is the structure, the vehicle. So when we confuse the structure, then delivery is not available to the masses out there. So highly commend your effort, your departmental head, and everybody who was supporting you out there. I would want to recommend one thing with regards to the problem that we are facing right now, which you have highlighted in amendment to Section 33C. And that is, how do we work at the provincial level and bring the DDA plans and implementation programs so that monitoring can be very efficient, rather than governor is doing his thing and DDAs are doing their thing. And as some of our former speakers have indicated, when there's a good governor, things are okay, but when the governor is not so good, then things are not okay. Maybe there is a solution, and I've been thinking about it for it, and I want to share it in this debate. I think, in my view, not being a lawyer, I think in my view, open members of parliament attending provincial assembly meetings is unconstitutional. And also it's unfair too for us leaders. We are running around attending meetings, national parliament, provincial, DDA, etc. And so I think that question, Mr. Speaker, has to be seriously looked at. I believe it is not constitutional for open members of parliament to go and sit in a legislature, another level of legislature, which is a provincial assembly. And if that is true, in my view, and I hope the legal brain, the legal egos can look at it, if that is true, as in the case in my view, I don't think we should be sitting in the provincial assembly meetings. And therefore, in the name of my own belief that provincial government must remain, and under the current Prime Minister, Honorable James Marape, is making a commitment to support provincial government. And so I think there is a need for a provincial development authority. So governor and the open members, rather than sit in the assembly, because open members have the budget 10 million and governor has a provincial budget, we can actually sit in this development planning body rather than become legislators here and run to the assembly and become legislators, which in my view is not legal. And this is why the joint district planning budget, but some governors are invoking it, some are not. So I'm recommending that we legalize an establishment of an authority where provincial planning can be done, serviced by a secretariat. In the argument that the Papua governors and argued for a Papua Region Secretariat, Development Secretariat. I think that has to be looked at. If we can build technical capacity in these areas, rather than focus on legislature, we focus on developing the province. And so we pull all our resources. And if for example, the Papua Region Secretariat is established, then we deploy experts in the secretariat to do the planning, to do the designing, the technical component, resource negotiations. All those things have to be done. And so I don't think we should be sitting in the provincial assembly, but for me as an open member for ABA who has the DSIP, I would love to sit in a development program, budgeting and development, supported by a strong secretariat. So after we finish discussion with the governor and the open members in that forum, then the technical team runs with it. That's my view, and Minister, if you can look at it and see whether we can provide law for it. My second comment is on you are suggesting to give SIPs to wards, and you nominated 30,000 for wards and 250,000 for LLGs. Mr. Speaker, this is the second mistake we are doing. When we were arguing for DSIP, there was this discretionary fund less than 250,000. And then in our time, in the Somaliland government time, we were looking at building district treasuries. And so we came up out of the blue with a 10 million DSIP. So we are doing the same mistake again, plucking our figures from the sky. But I want to strongly recommend instructing the National Economic Fiscal Commission, the body that is already established, the body that should be working together with PLASMA. Previously was the National Monitoring Authority, which recommended standards to be developed for service delivery standards. And then the unit costing, different provinces. Maritime is different unit costing. Highlanders, different unit costing. And then we say, okay, for Samarai Murua, you don't get 10,000, 10 million, you get 20 million, because you have to hire boats. That is a job that the National Economic Fiscal Commission has not done. And so, through you, Speaker, the Treasurer, please instruct the NEFC to do some work. We stop plucking figures from the sky. We made a mistake, 10 million. And now Prime Minister talking about 5 million infrastructure, 5 million kina for kina. That's again plucking figures of that thing. That's why we are again must be shout. Your electorate, I can go around it in half an hour. If you go to Abau, it will take you one whole day to go to the end of the Abau LNG. And so you're getting 10 million, I'm getting 10 million too. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm recommending, please don't bring figures plucked from the sky, but get some work done. There's a body established there so that they can tell us which province needs how much, which electorate needs how much. And then we need to then be truthful and, policy-based Evidence-based, we talk about it all the time. Where's the evidence about 10 million for about? 10 million for Goilala? It's not, you cannot compare it. It's wrong in my view. So my strong argument in this debate today, please don't pluck figures. Do some work so that we feed them into the budget. Our problem with the budget process is everybody is running to the Minister for Planning for their budget, their project. That has to stop. In the old days, we used to have a 2-year budget planning cycle. Major projects would be determined, properly investigated, done, fully costed. Once they are fully costed, they deserve a PIP number in the PIP budget. When they are not fully costed, they don't have a PIP number in the budget for the next year. So 2-year planning cycle on major projects has to come in. Rather than you are saying here, 20 million for provinces, 10 million for districts for major projects, I think it's ad hoc in my view. So let's do it right. Wake up that sleeping giant there, National Economic Fiscal Commission. It should be also, NEFC should also be assessing the national budget. When it goes to the budget committee in Parliament, the chairman should call on the National Economic Fiscal Commission. Come and assess it. Will the standards in health drop? Is this amount of medicine, 200 million in 2025 budget, is that enough? Advisors will say that's not enough. We need 400 million in P&G for medical supplies, not 200 million. That is why when you go there, the doctor says, go and buy it in the pharmacy because our hospital pharmacy has no amoxicillin. Those standards are not followed. And so I strongly argue these figures, it's a very good intention, but I really believe that we need to get some more work to bring the real figures for each region, each province, each district, so that we can actually deliver up to the minimum standards. My last point is Section 34. I have advocated on this floor of Parliament, and I strongly recommend through you, Mr. Speaker, that the LLG elections should be transferred to the provincial government. No, get a provincial election manager, get a provincial election team, working with the electoral commissioner, like what we do with the autonomous region of Bougainville. Exactly the same thing. They got their own electoral commissioner there. They got their Bougainville electoral team there. Why don't we do that to each of the provinces and let the provinces to take over the LLG elections? No need for national people to worry about it. This is one area that we must transfer to them. And they need to make it happen. If they fail, then they'll be declared failed. They will have no local level government. And so let's consider that. I think it's a way to go. It used to be done before, but when we allow Waigani to grow, everything came back to Waigani. Same thing as my argument on provincial health authorities. It's now a national function. Everybody's reporting to the minister. Provincial health boards are corporate entities. They report to the minister. I know PA is a part of the board, but transfer this to the provincial government. Like what you have done to the provincial administration.
We have a point of order, Honourable Member Blabal.
I don't know whether it's a point of order, but I thought he was the health minister that brought the PHA back to the national government.
It was Minister late Peter Bata, but I opposed it. As a technical advisor, I advised against it. That's why I'm still against it. Thank you, Prime Minister. My last recommendation is let us go back to provincial departments. Create provincial departments. I notice member for Madang is concerned about good governance and bad governance, but there are ways to make things happen. And I am of the view that, and I've been advocating, look, we've had 22 years of autonomous experience in this country through Bougainville. Why are we scared? Why are we scared? Let's create departments for provinces. Provincial administrator become a departmental head. Give all the powers for them to run the department. Open members are there too, through the Provincial Development Authority. We all work together, support the governor and the PA. Let's not create these divisions, personal divisions at that level. When I made a statement at St. Julius's death here, I want to remind you, these prime ministers who chose to go back to governance, they knew that if we get the provinces right, this country will take off. So let us focus on the provinces, Honorable Minister. Let us build a provinces hub. Block grant is one way to go. Appointing provincial treasurer. Appoint a provincial treasurer too by them, not by Waigani. Provincial administrator too, like what you have done. So they are all accountable. And get monitoring. Monitor from Waigani. Let the public accounts to extend its arm, Public Accounts Committee of National Parliament. Establish Assembly Public Accounts Committees. Public Accounts Committees at the LOG. So that's a line of accountability. We monitor the provinces because we are going to give them a lot of money. So you may not get scared. 50 years, we have not developed fast. Those countries that were with us, same socio-economic status 50 years ago, they are 50 years ahead of us. They left us behind. And so, Honorable Speaker, our challenge is, can we upscale the pace of development in Papua New Guinea? We must upscale the pace of development in the country. I believe the only way to do it is to support the provincial governments, to take the lead. And all of us open members must keep fight for individual differences. Work as a team in the province, and let's run the provinces together. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Bangogi Sotla Tok Dasola Halbim joining this debate. First of all, Mile commend him over the Speaker or Tok Lungem and one Mr. Speaker, I'm all good Tok na something na miluke mogre hama mastrulo disla amendment kam na mi le join him all disla Tok hama mas igol not only our Minister Sindaun Lungem. I'm working, bring him this amendment, Mr. Speaker. But me let talk, thank you to law. Over the focus to government, cabinet, no line that all harem this talk, na this dialogue, no harem plenty time, all governor Blomipla, Mr. Speaker, also complain na talk. Lo this all amendments now comes in our namel of law. So me let talk, thank you, law. Minister responsible, cabinet, na. Or line involved lo disla lo harem talk blol governor in numerous meetings, numerous talk all bungwantem, and now all karekam lo floor lo workim disla amendment, Mr. Speaker, a big amendment. So 1995, prior to 1995, you may organize what the 1995 prior to that was. Mr. Speaker, prior to 1995 amendments, all provinces run good through. All run excellent. me talk through experience serving as a young Kiap in Chimbu, as a district officer there. So I know that these prior amendments in 1995 worked efficiently. For some reason, this law, 1995 amendments come, now you go to Planty district, Mr. Speaker, all this is something you go back, now Planty district, blow me, you put down, go backside. You know that this development, I know that good infrastructure, I know that good command and control, law this law district. You go to Planty district, before 1995, Mr. Speaker, Ogada district, he run good through. He got house, he got public servant staff, Mr. Speaker, he got policeman staff, he got magistrate staff, he got all something arms law, something staff law work. No people am easy, lo go look him, all this line lo straight him all every blow, lo before law, 1995. Now you go to Planty district, Mr. Speaker, all people blow me find him hard through, lo look him, na kisim help him, lo primary industry, lo kiap, lo police, lo magistrate, so all work him, this law find him no got, all he come up lo town blue me. This law now I'm even drift na kind something he come up lo town blue me, because lo all money find him service no got lo district, no he come up inside lo town. Prior law 1995, this law levy you no surface him, because all law stuff, all governor at the time all call him all premier, all see now inside law district, law provinces, no work in Planty something through Planty development, law this law time. Maybe look him lo time, mi stop lo Simbu, na Premier David Mai, and been stop lo Simbu this la time, this la system lo education, and work him high school lo every single hub lo Chimbu, and work him road lo all get up, na all get something he run efficiently well. Now you become sana player na government, I harem talk lo governor again, harem talk lo karai lo governor, na this la talk he come up again. And now you make some these amendments, Mr. Speaker, I come sit down the floor of the parliament, and you may think lo kirap him bell, lo you go back, lo improve him. All provinces, na districts, na empower him all, Mr. Speaker, so that all two can be able to move forward. Mr. Speaker, one particular something too, all work him long him. So consultation. This all something. You know, consultation. And now government sit down long him, now you may stop, you may complain plenty law. Amendments or something. But consultation, this was something 1995 come up with now mama's years. And 20-something years finished. Plenty blame me now talk to lo this layer. This time is start long him. All now work him long him. Now me commend him straight. Me commend him, Honorable Soroy, lo bring him this something, all amendments come. So now this will complain or something, now he come up, place clear. Now he come, you me straight him now, lo flow blogger, parliament na house blame me. This law and priority blow me lo government. So me talk, thank you through lo this law. Mr. Speaker, one of big plus something too, lo you me mark him all administrator blue me. Mr. Speaker, mark him administrator and big pla work. Now good pla, suppose all governor, all take charge, lo mark him all administrator. Because this all man but work close to one them all. This all man but power him all province blong all. This all man all but work him all work but run efficiently. But you must go one step further, Mr. Speaker. Lo ensure him that time you may give him all administrative power, government too, but give him more decentralization law provinces. That is what government wants to do. But you must get more decentralization in law or district. So that usatem staff district manager, administrator, or DOIC, he must get power. Lo discipline him, all workman, public servant, make certain all assets for government or good law, make certain that the rule of law is running in the districts, make certain that all the functions and responsibility of the government in a remote area in Papua New Guinea is carried out efficiently. No man look him eye the government stuff. That is what government is doing by these amendments now sitting before the floor. Mr. Speaker, this law you may talk again, law, this law empower him, law block grant or something. Now you look into law here, and you may put him. You may give money, you go all districts. So all district, he must get money. You may put in money, go all eligible, you may. So all LLG, all elected leaders too, Mr. Speaker. All two must all him money, lo develop him, all up LLG's blown. Mr. Speaker, on top of this law too, you can look at yourself now, I'm all making 20 million, go all provincial governments. This is a start, Mr. Speaker. I'm go all thinking blow governor too, na thinking blow government that in future time, unpaused blow government, you go big player more, Mipla government, but you may give him more. You must decentralize him more so that all governor all can be able to run him all these provinces, long all efficiently. Now you can come back, lo waigani, lo try to run him or something. So me hama must rule this last straight, Mr. Speaker. Napla too, Mr. Speaker. Lo section 98, amend him, lo allow him percentage, lo development levies. You go all districts where you got impact areas, blow. Lo time you got all development, you got all extractive industries, all this like district. Districts too must participate. Districts, plenty of time you may look all districts, all not participate all this by law, Mr. Speaker. And that is why plenty all man, he move again, lo urban drift come to town, now all cities blue you me. Now, you may put it go inside by law, embassy now so can consult or can participate, Mr. Speaker, so that you can work in all infrastructure development. Now, member responsible, now DDA responsible, now president's responsible can participate meaningfully inside all this district. Want them all people blow. Because time got heavy, Mr. Speaker. Ogra months are on come member lo start him heavy blow. Now time all this adjustments, you may work him now under law section 98 and allow him percentage so that MIPLA can be able to participate in development projects inside the district, you me 1-1. Mr. Speaker, this law amendment now, me once again commend him, our good minister, for this long-awaited amendment. And the government will continue to work towards amending a lot more laws, fixing up a lot more red tape, clearing out a lot of backlog, clearing out a lot of bureaucratic red tape that keeps on being a stumbling block, Mr. Speaker, the development aspirations of Papua New Guinea. You know, you see, Mr. Speaker, you know, you see. But at least you may start. You may not sit down harem so. You may harem talk blol governor. All talk lem, you may harem, you may move one time, now you may walk one time. You may harem talk blol member blue me. And now you may bring all amendments come the floor, the parliament. So thank you once again, Minister Soroy. Now, thank you, the government caucus, and also our good opposition, you may bung one time, and them work blame me. Bring him all good amendments, all people blame me can sit down good, now clear him out of backlog, straight him good, or sample mistake, before, time all work him, 1995 reforms, yeah, now straight it good, so he can sit down and walk, bung one time, go forward, for the interest of our people. And that is let me to thank you through, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, thank you long, giving look sour long, me long, trying best long. Banisim all this blow, good blow, talk blow, you may all get on this blow, wonderful proposal, Minister long, provincial local level government, me Karim Kamlong, Parliament law considering. Mr. Speaker, me like Pastor through, so thank you long all the leaders of our country. You may give him space long Prime Minister of New Zealand. Me stop on Timmy Aste. Me lose him plus me one time good la bell. Me talk PNG give him top class hospitality. Not just in the address in our people's house, but also in the associated programs he was participating inside. So may kiss him this time, long Maki Mouse Logan, and me talk thank you me, well Speaker, well all members of Parliament, and to the people of our country for giving him respect that he deserves as Prime Minister of his country, New Zealand. Mr. Speaker, you stopped the provincial government system before. Now you clear. Long many of the impediments that we are faced with. I want to say that this reform is coming in the light of trying to unbundle impediments that we have carried in our system since the 1995 reform in our local level government and provincial government was ushered in. The intention may have been well at 1995, but the enabling legislations, the structure that carried us has become convoluted and has absorbed so many blockers in the system that the system has impediments, and these impediments don't deliver to our people. Mr. Speaker, as early as 2003 and 2004, the government and the Sumare government realized that this needs to be worked upon. I was privileged to have served in a small but important government organ called the Public Sector Reform Management Unit, one of the key observations of that unit that was placed under Prime Minister's department back then was to eliminate impediments in our government system that we built ourselves. Unknowingly, we created impediments in structure that should be delivering to our people. So that came into place, but unfortunately, like many of the recommendations from the bureaucracy that does come up, it just gets stifled and it's not progressed at the upper echelon of the government policy areas. So, Mr. Speaker, now finally this one has come right in the face of our 50th Milak Tok Olsem. The party that I lead and the ruling coalition government today, ruling coalition party, provincial government system is deeply part of the Pangu DNA. Deeply part of the Pangu DNA. Mr. Speaker, in 1975, the issue on unity of our country was debated. Lest we forget, Bougainville conversation on succession is not a 2001 construct. The conversation was there even before 1975. Lest we forget, one of the most effective run provincial government system, the East Nibrian provincial government system, was disbanded by the reform in 1995. The conversation on self-government was run by the Matugan Association even before 1975. The conversation on Papuan Besana was running heavy leading up to 1975. Thank goodness, great Papuan leaders like Sir Ebia Olowale, Sir Marui Kiki, Sir Dr. Ruben Tareka, Ola Rarua, Sir Cecil Ebel, Sir John Geis, to name a few, who stood tall to national unity than regional fragmentation. So the answer to national unity that embraces diversity, Mr. Speaker, was found in the creation of our provincial government systems. Our country, it must be known, as it is already known, we are the most diverse nation on the face of planet Earth. Over 800 languages, over 1,000 tribes. In the diversity we have, we find dispensation of services better in governments closest to the people who must tailor law and assist in service delivery closer to where the people are. 50 years later, this Pangu government, following in the sage of Pangus of past, one greater than me, and possibly greatest amongst us, Grand Chief Sir Michael Thomas Sumare, believed in decentralization, empowering leadership closest to the people, where the people are, because culture. We come from a decade of culture that is 1,000 years old. Culture, believe me, 1975 or so. You look at the Lapita poetry, predates 3,500 years. The New Guinea Islands to Solomon Islands to Vanuatu, the Polynesians down to Maori, 3,500 years, our people were seafarers. The toya we use today is a toya of old. 1975 was old, suddenly dreamed of give one name, toya must come out toya, no God. It was a toya currency of old. The Kula traders in the Millen Bay traded with toya. Of course, you got the Tubuan societies. The Tabu was governed by toya. And the Kina cell we have today, a gift we gave the New Zealand Prime Minister was a Kina. I told him, Kina was not better in 1975. How do you think the Melpas in the Central Highlands, or the Hoolies in the Southwest Highlands, or the Openers in the Northwest Highlands used the Kina cell for their bride price and exchanges? It was moved from mountain to mountain from our compatriots in the lowlands. For us in the Hela and Southern Islands, we were fed from the import of cells from the Gulf of Papua. And so, my brothers, we are a society, we are a country of societies that were built over thousands of years. The concept, the notion of independence was introduced at 1975. Our society predates time. The provincial government system embraces the notion of diversity we have. So I want to counsel all of us, Mr. Speaker, let no one open member amongst us feel that you are king, indispensable, and timeless. I've been in Parliament since 2007. The debate between open members and governors keep on raging on like a raging bull. This must not be. Open members, your lawmaking place is in the LLG. If the LLG, you supervise them, they make LLG. At the local setting, they make laws. I ask how many presidents since 1975 have utilized Section 44 powers in the organic law and provincial and local government. How much law you making finish? Law belong married, law belong ground, law belong deal one time poison man, law belong mocha. Section 44 powers are finished now. Governor Planta, you ask him yet now. Power you play Simon no that. Something wrong talking me, wrong lo display, me plan on making power yet. Likewise, governors, Section 44, 42 power you got. Apaste me county municipal lawyer, Mr. Speaker. Alphabetical order finish name go A, B, C go Z. Now then go Z or create renewable alphabet or AA. I'm sub Section 42 of this organic law and provincial local government. Meaning that the level of powers you have to make create law is totally wide-ranging. Yet I ask Mr. Speaker, since 1995, how many provincial government has sat down well to embrace the power you have? We've been sitting and talking about resource without fully trying to make, and I don't blame governors of past, I don't blame today's governor. I think the structure of law that carries the shell we have called provincial government and national government has so many blockades. You know, Mr. Speaker, me not doctor, but you go to housing also hard blockage. Today, technology have emerged. You don't need to make him bypass. Or doctor lo here or some, correct me. You don't need to make him bypass. You can now put him stenting. The Speaker, housing Limina got stenting facility. One of our colleagues gives him left side paralysis, a stroke. And our housing for the first time now deploy him stenting procedure. Coincide na unbundle him this la blockage long. Left crew blockade na today. Within 2 days he was back to normal. He's now sitting watching this debate as we speak. Provincial government system, Limia, an important system, but he got so much blockage. 1995 meant well. And meaning well, and come under some thinking. One prime minister at that time. You know how much good one time, one premier blockage at time. The block cross now, current cross low to long. Come inside now. Background system, you work good.
Immediate point over there, Honorable Member Luabao.
Prime Minister raised the point of order on me, so I will retaliate.
Reciprocate the favor.
Reciprocate. I just want to clarify one matter which the Prime Minister is rightly saying because of my experience as a long-serving bureaucrat. When 1995 law came, Section 42, the problem was that the agencies responsible never came forward with the enabling laws. That's where the confusion was. That is why provincial governments did not know how to organize themselves in that Section 42. No enabling law was developed. This is why we struggled. So I just wanted to point that out. So, Minister, one of your big jobs is to get these enabling laws needed to clarify Section 42 responsibilities, powers, and functions.
Honorable.
Thank you.
Member Luabao, you are giving a point of order, not advising the minister. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Speaker, it is very enriching to have very learned members of Parliament with huge experience in the House because they're able to affirm some of this work. And I do always enjoy the member for Abao. He's a very well-read and experienced person, and his contributions are always appreciated. Sometimes he speaks opposing, but as a leader, I'm mature enough to understand opposing is also good to hear than not to hear at all. But in any case, those impediments we have, we're trying to fix now. The benefit of a continuing government over some time is you pick up those work you started and try to correct. That work would have been attended to any government in past if they had concertedly worked. Mr. Speaker, the problem I point to you. And I used 1995 as a pointer and a breaker. And I, again, use one example. Provincial government law Eastern Britain functioned very well through law before 95. Well, can you erupt law 1994? Provincial government now, power of law in Mirosing companies, Lawagani, have not have handling now. Well, can you people displace? For 30 years, the provincial government in Eastern Britain was not given proper resourcing support law. Now, they have to come back to ground zero. It was only last year, me like one, I give him ground title law. I asked this question. And correctly, so I think it was raised by some leaders on the other side, all of us. Why will national government go give him title? Law ground where province himself finishes the ground. Make him work with middle hard work. We should be at the oversight level. And so Mila asked me in conclusion, this will work long, empowering province. Open member now, governor, you not going to fight. I'm right work. You must now build a system oversight long, monitor, make sure work is not good law the system. And next week, Wednesday, Mila invite me block. We're launching again the National Monitoring Authority. And inside the National Monitoring Authority, by me built him artificial intelligence into so talk long. Also, by me selecting administrator. Governor shouldn't be selecting administrator. Prime Minister shouldn't be selecting chief secretary. A computerized ICT-based system should be deployed to select the best population for any job in our country. Me don't care whether you're Muslim or Christian or Wanakan man, you, so long as you got degree, the best experience, you can seem to whether you're gay or not gay, it doesn't matter. Best guy. Best guy. Best Sawe man. Best experience man. Mr. Speaker. So this system you must carry him hurry through. So eliminate him talk where governor pick him man. Governor to all no stop no pick him man. No governor met pa and pick him no. We input the right process, so the best guy becomes administrator. The best guy becomes tribunal head. This is something instruction I've given already to the public service minister. Mr. Speaker, Mila Ashurim is working on it. Now the instruction will give him Peninsula tender process, whether from district, province, or national government. Computerized ICT-based tender. Enable district administrator current paper. Enable work secretary current paper. Finance secretary current paper. Computer. So today you may stop age kind of some make him talk pixel long bypass doctor walk him long. On the college women and he stop alive today. We're in an age where technology has reached a level to assist eliminating human preferences and input into the system a better meritorious appointment process, whether it's in contract letting or public service appointments. So no can worry long. All administrator or governor will appoint him. One council governor may like talk. All district law, CEO of the district or department heads, no can ministers or member appoint him. Let's eliminate personal preference and get a computer system to appoint the best public service for us. Fixing provincial government system is an important prerequisite for us to go. Provincial government system anchors the diversity we have. Eastern Islands is different from Simbu. Simbu is different from Western Islands. Manus is different from Sipik. Manus is different from New Island. Custom, culture, setup different. Our diversity is unified in the structure of provincial government system. I relate to the provincial government system as a corner post for country living. Strong corner post. Today you may start for some strong man, you may start King Blowagani. A big man Blowagani, but I've been on, but you go back to place me.
True.
Some former prime minister, all you go come up governor Venice. No, I'm not saying that I'll be governor of Hela later on, but I'm just saying that. The province is important. Let's empower them, let's embrace them, let's make them work better. And they say better, we assist with the resource from national government, from district, and from other earnings. Let's allow them to make money, let's allow them to borrow money, let's eliminate politics, get provincial government to function better. They assist us deliver service better to our country. Thank you too much.
The question is that the question be now put. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk. The question is that the proposed law be now read a second time. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Mr. Minister or Mr. Clerk.
Second reading, a proposed law to alter the organic law on provincial governments and local level governments and for related purposes.
Mr. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I ask the Leave of Parliament to move the proposed law without amendment forthwith.
Is leave granted? Leave granted. Mr. Minister?
Mr. Speaker, I move that the proposed law without amendment be agreed to.
The question is that the proposed law without amendment be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Honourable members, as this is the first vote, the Constitution requires that the vote must be recorded, and that in order for the proposed law to pass, it must also be supported by a two-thirds absolute majority of 79 members. Honourable members, the Parliament will now vote. Clerk, please ring the bells. Those in favor, please stand.
Those against, please stand. Honorable members, result long this la vote. Me like talk two on some me too. Me been come through long provincial government system. Whole plus system before reform me come up. La 95 na me stop la reform after 95. Na me sabe when a provincial government before, now when a provincial government after the reform. Also na vote lo me too must recorded. So 84 idog yes, na 0 idog nogat. Na blomigo 84 ya. Honorable Prime Minister.
All right, thank you, Mr. Speaker. That looks out some word to you go 84. Now must law word to you. Mr. Speaker, before me move in Parliament by
Honorable Prime Minister, by you would pass me when I'm process finish and then allow it to. Honorable members, in accordance with section Standing Order 222E, I now order the third reading, which is the second required opportunity for debate, and the second vote be adjourned for at least 2 months, this day as required by the Constitution. Mr. Clerk? No. Mr. Prime Minister?
Minister? Minister Miller, okay, we'll give you one plahat. Thank you, Lord. Nice to work with you. We look forward to giving you continued support. And thank you, members on both sides of the House, for rising to support an important piece of legislation that is part of our reset and 50th anniversary construct for our country going forward. The other amendment, we'll ask him this both sides of the House, is Placenis long court restructure. Long bring him in appeals court, Supreme Court, National Court, and we want fundamental restructure again. If I could ask both sides of the House to give considered view. These are some essential amendments that we must make to position our country to live beyond 50 years. James Barapet definitely will not be for the next 50 years here, but our country must live on, and we just have to do it right for our people and our children going forward. Mr. Speaker, I would like also welcoming Nupla, or re-elected member of Long Kabum, the Honorable Patrick Wasse, Thank you, Loksim Gensiam, Parliament. We congratulate you on behalf of Rachel and the people of Taripori and the Pangu Party, Honorable Rosso, the Pangu Party leadership. We glad to congratulations on winning the Kabum Sia. We look forward to your contribution to our country, our people. Mr. Speaker, thank you. You may sit down, Goromla, me like some time. Long moving Parliament, and I ask in Parliament, you may adjourn, go 10 kilo long tomorrow morning.
Honourable members, before we entertain him this motion, me like talk clearly me, na mami can him lo English. Honourable members, it is with great pride and honour that I inform you of the upcoming commemoration of the 41st anniversary of our National Parliament House, to be held tomorrow, Thursday, 7th August 2025, here at the Parliament Precincts. This year we pay tribute to 8 pioneer legislators of the first National Parliament, 1975 to 1977, as honoured guests, whose vision laid the foundation for our democracy and whose legacies continue to inspire us today. We will also unveil a life-size statue of the late Right Honourable Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare in recognition of his monumental contributions to our nation. This unveiling coincides with the 50th anniversary of our independence. The theme for this year's celebration is One People, One Nation, One Country, a timely reminder of our unity and shared identity as we look towards the future together. I hereby extend a warm invitation to all honourable members to join in this historic occasion, which not only honours our past but also strengthens our collective resolve for the future. Happy 41st anniversary to the People's House. Thank you. The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Honourable members, Parliament is now adjourned to tomorrow, 10 o'clock.